It's a gorgeous night here at Finley Stadium here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it's time for McCallie School football.
Yes, tonight your McCallie Blue Tornadoes face off against the Calhoun Yellow Jackets in an interstate game, which is set to not disappoint, so stay tuned.
Don't touch your television sets, folks. We got a good one for you tonight. minutes, 30 seconds.
So we're not live yet?
It's football night here in Chattanooga, and while the setting may be different, it's the same sport and it's the same Friday night time. We're here at Finley Stadium in downtown Chattanooga as the McCallie Blue Tornadoes square off against the Calhoun Yellow Jackets. I'm William Hanley, joined here in the booth tonight by Karan Hora, and my goodness, it's a gorgeous night for football.
Yes, absolutely, Hanley. You can say that again. Currently 86 degrees right now. Your sunset time is 7:53 p.m. And, of course, Calhoun coming off a big win against Dalton High School, 41-14. Of course, McCallie coming off of that gut-wrenching loss against Brentwood Academy on that last drive of the game.
An excellent effort that came up just short, but McCallie seeking to rebound after the loss against the Eagles visiting from Nashville. What do we have on the Calhoun Yellow Jackets, obviously coming out of Georgia?
Yeah, not much coming out of Calhoun recently. The football team didn't have much knowledge about it as well, but of course, Calhoun with a great running back, a great running game in general, and their quarterback is no sleeper. He has a great arm and can deliver a dot. So, watch out for him tonight.
It's interesting you bring that up. McCallie, after struggling with their pass defense against Brentwood, as Taylor Montiel went for 353 passing yards.
Yeah, Taylor Montiel, a great quarterback for Brentwood Academy, committed to Mississippi State actually for baseball as well.
Wow.
So that's interesting. But if you want to talk about a lack of depth in McCallie, you look at that secondary. You have two returning starters in Nick Robinson and Michael May. The rest are first-year varsity players and had very few minutes last year. So, that might have played a big impact on the McCallie Blue Tornadoes last week, Hanley.
We'll see if they can't recompose themselves tonight. It's a new day here in Chattanooga. Is it redemption time for the Big Blue, or will Calhoun improve to 2-0? We'll see here tonight when we return with coverage of Kickoff here in Chattanooga. We're back here in Chattanooga where our teams are receiving our marching orders before kickoff as the Calhoun Yellow Jackets face off against the McCallie Blue Tornado.
Looks like McCallie is set to receive. As you can see, Eric Rivers and Kenzie Paul out there tonight. And I mean, you want to talk about dynamic players. Eric Rivers, what do you think about him?
The X Factor, as we've come to refer to him as. You won't see another guy play more positions on the field, both offensively and if you're listening to the starting lineups for both teams, he's going to be getting some defensive reps tonight too. He's burning the candle at both ends. We'll see how he performs tonight. See how fatigue might play into his game, but for now, coming out to receive for the Big Blue, he had one dynamic return for 22 yards to open up the game against Brentwood Academy last week. We'll see if he can't put something together here to open up the game for the Big Blue.
Yeah,
down on the field, Calhoun preparing to kick off the ball.
Yeah, of course, Eric Rivers cut that ball back, saying just shows that agility, especially that you can see on the hardwoods where you'll be able to see Eric Rivers later on in the season, in the winter. So excited to see him out there as well.
He's an electrifying athlete for sure. As Calhoun lines up, kicking for the Yellow Jackets, Ricardo Guan. My apologies for the butchering of the pronunciation of that name. We're given the rosters. We aren't given the pronunciations. Calhoun set to start up this game. A low kickoff goes to number 9 for the Big Blue. That's Michael May on the return, the junior defensive back. He takes that one out to about the 40, and McCallie will take the field for the first time on offense. Big question going into last game is what the quarterback situation will be for the Big Blue, and to my surprise, Austin Breedlove, who struggled against Brentwood last week and the 3 drives that he had against them, is coming out as the starter tonight. He stands in shotgun to start out the game. Here's the snap. Keeps it for himself, barrels forward, gets a substantial gain. That's about 6 yards right there. Solid first run for the Big Blue.
Yep, of course, his helmet just came off, actually, so that means he's going to have to step out, which means William Riddle will step onto the field. And, I mean, of course, Austin Breedlove threw that interception, which kind of turned the momentum last week, in a sense, against the Eagles. So it'll be interesting to see how Riddle, whose older brother Robert, of course, was a starter for McCallie Blue Tornadoes. Let's see how he performs right now.
I believe it was Mac Riddle, if I was corrected earlier. I may be wrong, but Riddle hands off the ball to B.J. Harris. B.J. Harris breaks out at the 30. He's dragging defenders inside of the 25. What a run from B.J. Harris.
Yeah, of course, that offensive line right there, led by Austin and Jack Gentle, the 2 twins committed to Harvard. They pushed that line forward, created that hole, and B.J. Harris, with that incredible vision, hit that gap and created a big gain, moving them almost inside Calhoun red zone.
I don't believe McCallie has ever had more mass on their O-line than they do this year, as Breedlove hands it off to B.J. again, who barrels forward for another good game.
Of course, B.J. Harris committed to Missouri, committed over the summer. Congratulations to him. But you can see some of the key things. He might not be the fastest out there, but that patience and that vision that he has are true signs of a mature running back.
You know, I say this week in and week out, but he shows flashes of Sony Michel. He might not have a lot of open field speed, but he has great acceleration coming off the line of scrimmage. I sound like a broken record. I've probably used that call 5 times. As Eric Rivers goes in motion, Breedlove drops back, finds Rivers, but he's tackled for a loss, swarmed by the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, that Calhoun defense completely got over that. Jose Osa trying to throw the block out there, but Calhoun defense read that perfectly for a loss of yards. So that's going to be a 14-yard loss there. So second down coming up for McCallie.
Not quite a 14-yard loss, thank goodness, but obviously not ideal for the Big Blue, who were looking at, I believe, second and short, or at least second and mid, now having to face third down and 11.
I apologize. That's a mistake on my behalf.
Hey, listen, it's your first time in the booth this year. I can't knock you. It's also Breedlove sets up. Rivers in motion again. Drops back looking for a target, and that falls incomplete as he is swarmed by defenders.
Yeah.
Got the ball off in time to avoid the sack, but not before throwing an ugly incompletion. Now bring up fourth down and 11.
Yeah, that right side completely, those 2 edges completely got to him. Had no time to make a good throw. That pressure immediately got to him, and now it's going to be interesting. McCallie went for it a couple of times on 4th down last week and converted both times. So let's see in a much deeper scenario.
A bold strategy by McCallie indeed as Breedlove sets up again. He rolls out to his left. Keeps the ball for himself. Does he have room to run? He does, and does he get the first down? I think so. A dynamic play from Breedlove, who's certainly the more dynamic rusher of the two McCallie quarterbacks. I mentioned in my first perspective from the press box this week, Riddle certainly a textbook pocket passer. Breedlove being a bit more similar to D'Angelo Hardy with respect to his mobility. Showing it off right there as he keeps the McCallie drive alive.
Yeah, speed-wise, looks like they're going to bring
out the chains
out to see where that ball is going to be. I mean, of course, you just mentioned it. Breedlove much more the speedy quarterback. Riddle has that.
He's got mobility, and it's just short. Oh, my goodness. A heck of an effort from Breedlove, but it comes up just short. McCallie with no points on their first drive after an audacious move from the McCallie coaching staff that'll ultimately result in the Big Blue defense coming out to face down the Yellow Jacket offense.
Yeah, and a big part of the McCallie Blue Tornado defense is that junior duo of Aaron Crowder and James Howard. Of course, James Howard going down in injury last game, so he is not active right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how this defensive line adjusts and tries to bring pressure.
That pass goes out to number 5 for the Yellow Jackets. That is Cole Spear, the receiver. The quarterback on that pass, number 14, Christian Lewis, junior.
Christian Lewis with a great arm there. Perfectly delivered. Right on the money. He can't put it any better.
A solid play for a solid gain, leaving the Yellow Jackets with 2nd and 4. 9 minutes and 10 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Lewis again dumps it outside. The Yellow Jacket running back. It's number 2, Jarian Hames.
Michael May got there first. Great job coming down from that safety position. But you can see right now Kenzie Paul out there, primarily a wide receiver for the McCallie, but also right now playing defensive back. So it's going to be interesting to see because, yes, last week, you saw B.J. Harris and Eric Rivers also coming in on defense, especially later on as this team got tired. So it'll be interesting to watch and see.
I think that's something we're going to see constantly through the game. Offensive starters coming out, trying to play roles on defense. Just like you mentioned, it's 3rd down here. Lewis takes the snap, fakes the handoff, rolls out to his right, and connects. That's number 12, Brett Bradley. But will that be enough for a first down?
Yeah, number 17.
I don't think so.
Number 17 there, John David Tessman on the tackle. Senior, 2 or 3 year starter now, and it's been an important part of this McCallie defense, as it looks like Calhoun will come out to punt right now.
A solid defensive recovery after the misstep, or not really a misstep, but that good effort play that came short for the Big Blue on their opening drive. They survived this time. Eric Rivers back to receive the punt. I think it's interesting that we saw Kenzie Paul coming out to play defensive back. You know, I mentioned fatigue at the start of the game. You certainly want to preserve Eric Rivers, considering how explosive an offensive player he is, as Laundry comes out. Might be delay of game. Yes, it is. Delay of game against Calhoun. That'll put him back another 5 yards. Situation getting even better for the Big Blue as a 4th down and 2 turns into a 4th down and 7.
Exactly. Giving Eric Rivers any room to work is never a good idea. So be interesting to see what he can do on this return with, of course, his X-Factor abilities.
Of course. It's a short punt. Already special teams looking like an area of concern for the Calhoun Yellow Jackets as McCallie will take possession of the ball in enemy territory.
Yeah, of course. After that failed 4th down conversion, McCallie catches a break, starts at around the 34-yard line of Calhoun, putting them immediately in field goal range. So,
yeah, I can't say that their risk paid off, but at the same time, it didn't really set them back either.
High risk, high reward sometimes, and hey, you didn't get too high of a reward, but, you know, it ended up working out.
I won't say they got a reward at all, but They certainly recovered well. The defense executed, and now Austin Breedlove will lead the McCallie O once again. Breedlove hands it off to B.J. Harris. Harris gets a couple of yards.
Harris right there.
Several.
Harris there with that nice little jump cut to the outside. And I mean, that just shows you, again, the patience and the vision. I mean, he's still powered forward for that yard right there. And any yard is a good yard, so.
Absolutely. If you average 3.3 yards, you're winning.
Exactly.
Breedlove takes a snap again, run the RPO, toss it outside to Harris, who's eaten up. That'll be another loss for the Big Blue, who've been struggling with the RPO play recently.
Yeah, that read option there was nowhere near. Calhoun immediately collapsed, read that perfectly. He defended it perfectly. You had 3 or 4 guys, 2 watching the quarterback, 2 watching the running back. They had nowhere to go, swarmed it up. Great play by the Calhoun defense there.
After that explosive run out of B.J. Harris to open up the game, McCallie struggling to get things going on the second offensive drive. Breedlove hands it off to Harris once again. This time Harris with a bit of room to run. He has it, breaks to the outside, stays in bounds, and gets the first down. A fantastic play out of BJ, keeping the play alive, avoiding defenders, getting to the outside, and ultimately picking up the first down for the Big Blue.
Yeah, great job there. Kenzie Paul throwing a little block out there, allowing BJ Harris to get that first down. And you see Jose Osa check in right there. So it's going to be interesting to see. BJ Harris had 25 touches in that last game against the Eagles. So it's going to be interesting to see how tired and how much fatigue he has throughout this game.
Actually, 4th and 1. BJ knocked out a yard short, and McCallie will be going for it on 4th down once again as BJ takes this, barrels forward. Does he have enough?
It's gonna be
My
close.
goodness, this might be another turnover on downs for the Big Blue.
It looks to
And
be
it
a
is.
turnover on downs.
McCallie with some bold looks early, coming up short twice. Couldn't execute on 4th and 1, and the McCallie defense will take the field once again to defend the Yellow Jacket O.
And this looks already to be a game of defense right now. Both teams, even though McCallie had that one explosive run, Calhoun's defense has come up strong, and McCallie's defense came up strong in that last drive. So it's going to be interesting to see what Calhoun's offense can muster up with.
We'll see if that's sustained. 5 minutes, 53 seconds left, and Christian Lewis connects with Peyton Law, the receiver. Stays on his feet for a moment, gets a small gain to open up the drive. As Eric Rivers checks in now. Appears as though they're really trying to spread reps evenly in the McCallie secondary between the offensive starters who are taking some defensive reps.
Yeah, good tackle there by Michael May. Pushed him back. 2nd down and 8 coming up for the Yellow Jackets. It's going to be interesting to see because it looks like so far the passing game has worked for them. They've gotten a good amount of yards out of him. Then the rushing game hasn't been there. So it'll be interesting to see what the offensive coordinator comes up with here.
I think we might have a problem with the scoreboard here in Chattanooga. It appears to read 2nd and 8. Looks like about 2nd and 2 as a big run out of Calhoun right there. Gets him a first down. That is number 2, Jarian Hames, with a physical play.
Jarian Hames, one of those, you can see one of those like max preps and sports center level plays, almost a cartwheel to keep himself on his feet and gain an extra few yards. So first down coming up for Calhoun on the 43-yard line.
He refuses to cease and keeps the Calhoun drive alive, getting them their first down of the game. Lewis connects with number 5 this time. That's Cole Spear.
That ball
As
looked to
the
have come
ball is
out.
forced out. Is this a turnover for the Big Blue?
Lewis's pass completes number 5, Cole Spear.
We'll wait for the signal.
Looks to be down by contact.
Eric Rivers.
Seems to be the case. He must have had that arm hit the ground, and that's what jarred the ball out.
Ruled down
For as great as it is to be here in the press box here at Finley Stadium, which it absolutely is, 2 things that are difficult, reading numerals and trying to track when players go down. But I think that those are small prices to pay for an experience like this.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great experience. You just mentioned it. Thankful for all the things that we have here. And that ball is well over the head there. 2nd down coming up.
High and away for Lewis on that pass.
intended for number
He was looking for Dodd there.
Yeah, Cameron Lewis has had a good game so far, throwing some great passes, a couple of passes into the flat, and then a couple of good runs there by Cameron Hames, and has got them into McCallie territory for the first time tonight. Let's see if they can come up with anything.
Jarian Hames, certainly with Calhoun's play of the game right now. But I'd still watch Christian Lewis. He seems to be an incredibly athletic, talented quarterback. As this ball goes to Jarian Hames, who's looking to get to the outside, but is eaten up by number 15, John Cole McAdams.
Yeah, you saw Nick Robinson come off that edge with the blitz. The quarterback got that off super fast. Looks like Hames is going to be a real threat tonight for the McCallie defense, so watch out for him all night. We're going to keep mentioning his name.
Mentioned Michael May earlier, the other side of that tandem, Nick Robinson, both of them really the two veteran defensive starters for McCallie this year in their defensive secondary. Both of them incredibly physical safeties.
Yeah, the other
See
two,
what they do tonight.
The other two in the secondary right now are Adam Poland and Jackson Burns.
Lewis intercepted! Nick Robinson with the pick! He goes down and McCallie reassumes possession.
What a play there. Nick Robinson completely jumped that route, saw it, read it, and that's what you were just talking about, that experience right there. Nick Robinson completely jumped that route and took it down, slipped a little bit, but down to the 49 of Calhoun. McCallie regains possession.
Speak of the devil and he shall appear. Nick Robinson with a huge defensive play for the Big Blue, getting them the ball just inside of Calhoun territory. Offense will come back out after failing to convert on 4th down twice. Certainly get the feeling like they need to score soon. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining here in the first quarter.
You see number 87 there, Emil Bell-Rose in there. McCallie Blue Tornadoes, I only can assume it's going to be a play action, actually. Going long.
Breedlove looking Eric.
It's going to be overthrown there. 2nd down coming up. But see, that's always a threat, especially when you have a dynamic player such as Eric Rivers, who can just run that straight fade down the field and almost came up with an incredible play there, but 2nd down coming up.
He's got a lot of speed, but his one slight detriment is his size, and he seems to be sized up against a fairly large defensive back. Can't make out the numeral from up here. But that'll be interesting to see the battle between Rivers trying to make out, believe.
Well,
I'll never know.
DJ Harris right there. He's going to try and fight for yards, but it gets swarmed up immediately. 3rd down and 9 coming up for this Blue Tornado offense. Hanley, what have you seen so far that has worked, but in past games, but isn't working right now?
One thing I will say is that it's interesting that they're starting out with Breedlove, and I imagine that they see some sort of vulnerability in the Calhoun run defense, but with the exception of that one really explosive play out of B.J. Harris early, McCallie's been really quiet, and so far they've been facing a ton of 3rd and longs, have yet to convert on one, as Breedlove steps back and rolls to his right. He's getting chased down by defenders. An incomplete pass. That's number 87. That's Emil Bell-Rose.
Yeah, immediately that pressure came in. You recognized that blitz from the right side. Tried to roll out, but nothing going there. Dropped there by Emil Bell-Rose. And McCallie, again, another 4th down situation, and this time they're going to punt. And so McCallie's had 3 drives and
no points. No points. Difficult.
Which is something weird to say about the McCallie offense, which is usually a very high-powered offense.
Well, after the 30-27 affair that was the game against Brentwood Academy, it's interesting to see the offense this quiet, as a good punt from Jack Conklin will pin the Calhoun Yellow Jackets deep in their own red zone. McCallie defense will come back out seeking to keep them off the board. Yeah, but to what you were saying, yes, there have been no real easy yards in this game for McCallie, and really both offenses have been quiet, although Calhoun does seem to be gaining some momentum, which is some of the watch throughout this game.
Yeah, both teams with a couple of big plays, but ended up getting snuffed out. And McCallie, of course, with that turnover on downs after that big B.J. Harris run, and after that Hames run, and they got stuffed and have to punt it. So it's interesting to see. For the most part, these defenses are playing incredibly well, but let's see what Calhoun can come with. They're pinned down there at their own 4-yard line after a great punt by Conklin.
McCallie defense Haven't given up anything huge yet. We'll see what they do here as Christian Lewis takes the snapping and tries to get it to Jarian Hames, who is pinned down deep. Is that a safety? Or will they call forward progress at the 1? The hands don't go up. It'll be 2nd down and 11.
Great job there by the McCallie defensive line. Of course, losing James Howard is big, but they just immediately collapsed on that, giving them nowhere to go. A loss of 3 yards on that play, so 2nd and 13 coming up. I apologize. The scoreboard that I see right now is just a little bit confusing. You guys can't see it, but I apologize.
It's a brave new world that we're in as Lewis unloads one, trying to connect. He does! Cole Spear will go to the end zone untouched, and Calhoun is on the board here early.
Yeah, straight fade route there to the wide receiver there. Great throw there, right on the money, right over the defender's head.
The Yellow Jackets go 99 yards to put up the first points of the game.
What a throw there!
A crushing blow.
It looks like they might be going for 2 in a monster stack formation. This is going to be interesting to see.
Well, I mentioned before that it appears though they were having some troubles with special teams, so this isn't really a surprise to me, but if McCallie can prevent them from getting this 2-point conversion, it would be huge.
Looks like they're going to go back to the original extra point formation.
Kick is up and good.
What a start there for Calhoun. Pinned back at their own 1-yard line. One throw there by the quarterback there, just right
99
over the top.
yards.
Yeah, you want to talk about a big play. There's your big play of the game so far right there. A
Christian Lewis.
touchdown.
Christian Lewis and Cole Spear will be putting that on both of their highlight reels for sure.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. The one weakness that we might see in this McCallie team is that secondary, especially the lack of experience. Giving up 353 yards, you've nearly given up like a quarter.
That's 99 right there.
Exactly. So it's going to be interesting to see Adam Poland there, the player that got just completely outran. So let's see how McCallie adjusts now to see that dynamic threat on offense.
We'll see a huge play that definitely put some life in Calhoun after they had a tough start. Now they have a 7-point advantage with 2 minutes, 43 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Set to kick off for Calhoun football.
Gijon, number 96. Had a low kick to start out the game. He's back out here now to return the ball to McCallie.
You see McCallie stepping up there. Looks to be a squib kick again. Let's see what it is. It's a little pooch kick out there.
Sky, let's see how they handle it. John Cole possesses and fair catches. McCallie will assume possession around their 30-yard line.
And it looks like to be that William Riddle will be the quarterback now. So I think we're going to see a few more passes now. Of course, Riddle, the much more pocket passer, has the much more natural quarterback abilities, it seems to be. So let's see how Riddle will try and respond with this McCallie offense.
I definitely say he's the better passer. He has a beautiful arc on deep balls from what I've seen in practice. And with weapons like Kenzie Paul, Jose Osa, John Cole McAdams, and obviously Eric Rivers, you know, it's hard to not want to use that ability, especially in a game like this. McCallie down 7, certainly feeling a sense of urgency as we approach the end of the first quarter. Riddle hands it off to B.J. Harris, who is eaten up. Number 44. That's Mason Green on the defensive line with the tackle.
Yeah, nothing going there. Mason Green immediately shot through that gap, hit B.J. Harris, a loss of 3 yards there.
The O-line seems to be struggling. Calhoun's pass rush has been really prevalent. We saw with Breedlove on some of his pass attempts scrambling in the backfield.
So it's going to be, let's see what McCallie comes up with now with Joel Bradford. Defensive coordinator rolls out right.
Passes to Osa. Osa with the completion.
Jose Osa there, number 80, scored his first varsity touchdown last week against the Eagles. A 70-yard dynamic play. He
doesn't have the most speed. He's not exactly the most agile receiver, but one, he's a tremendous blocking talent, and two, he's a great story. Just as an athlete coming out of Mexico City, Jose the Bear. I think that was probably my favorite moment out of the Brentwood game, getting to see him hit pay dirt as William Riddle steps back to take the snap, puts Eric Rivers in motion. Jet sweep Rivers trying to find open field. He's eaten up again. Another loss, and McCallie will face fourth down again. All sorts of blocking trouble for the Big Blue. And an offense that looked to be rolling in the early stages of the quarter. Now snuffed out.
Yeah, tackled there by number 4. That would be Jaden Brock. Just got there. Eric was trying to cut that inside. Nothing going. And it's going to another 3 and out for McCallie right there. So, and Jose Oso, I mean, we just mentioned him earlier. Great hands, a great blocking tight, and a great story. As Conklin comes out to punt again. A great punt last time. Pinning them inside their own 20. Let's see how Conklin does this time.
That didn't help too much, although that's a fair catch there. Cole Spear. And a Calhoun offense that just shocked the Big Blue will hit the field again with 48 seconds left in the first quarter. What do you expect to see out of the McCallie D now?
I think we're gonna see McCallie's D fall back a little bit, and that might open up Calhoun's offense a little bit, their run game, because their run game has significantly been struggling. I mean, you've got linebackers like Aaron Crowder and John David Tessman who will swarm all over you if you try to get into their level. But so far, the pass game has been Calhoun's strongest point, evident there. So you see Kenzie Paul now, Michael May, Eric Rivers all out there, Jackson Burns, and Nick Robinson.
I wouldn't knock Jerian Hames, though. I wouldn't say that Calhoun has been exclusively a pass-o. Certainly they hit pay dirt with their pass-o as do an interesting lateral play here. Yeah. Spear takes that ball for a real short gain.
Yeah, a little dump-off play there. Little screen outside, try to dump it off there to number 5, to Cole Spear. So
at least from a quarterbacking perspective, they're definitely showing heavy pass. They aren't really employing any agility that Spear may have. I don't think I've seen him on a quarterback run yet this game. But who needs to run with the quarterback when you're making 99-yard plays?
99, and right on the money. You could not put that ball anywhere better. Right over the shoulder, right over the head of the defender.
Hit him off! That's John David Tessman on the play, and he's in Calhoun territory once again. The second turnover of the game, the second interception of the game, and a McCallie team that had 2 interceptions coming into this week now has another 2.
Yeah, Tessman showed blitz, backed off there. Great play right into his hands, read the quarterback's eyes. And McCallie truly now inside red zone territory already, have a chance to score at least a field goal. Is this the tide turner for McCallie?
Perhaps we'll see if the offense can't do anything to get on the board as the final 30 seconds of the first quarter tick away. Riddle still on the field for the Big Blue.
Something interesting we've seen out of McCallie for the past 3 games is each quarterback has gotten 2 drives each. So this is Riddle's second drive. Let's see how he handles it.
Hands it off to B.J. Harris. B.J. has some running room. Does he have enough to get to the end zone? Charging forward. He'll be just short. They'll be first and goal for McCallie on the 2.
Again, great.
I think we might be seeing some points.
Yeah, again, great blocking by the O-line, getting into that second level, creating that hole for B.J. Harris. And B.J. Harris just doing what B.J. Harris does, fighting for yards and getting you first down.
Harris, who was having a quiet game up until that run, after that electrifying one that opened up the match, now puts McCallie in prime scoring position as Riddle puts Eric Rivers in motion. Takes a snap, hands it off to BJ again, bounces outside, and he is in! Touchdown, Big Blue! It was high time BJ got into the end zone, and he does right then. With 12 seconds left in the first quarter of play, McCallie ties it, or he should say they get a touchdown. 6-7 as Conklin comes out for the PAT.
Yeah, Breedlove to hold right now for Conklin. Let's see, I mean, of course, Conklin did miss his first extra point attempt as the snap is good, the hold is good, and the kick is right through the middle. Through
the uprights. Now the game is tied. I jumped the gun. My goodness. Rookie mistakes out of me in this game as McCallie ties the game at 7.
And that was a great play there. Of course, started with that interception by John David Tessman. And then B.J. Harris, 2 rushes, bounced that outside, using that incredible vision he has, walked into the end zone for a touchdown now.
Calhoun suffering from some serious lapses in their passing go, despite the fact that they hit pay dirt with that 99-yard play. The connection between Christian Lewis and Cole Spear. 2 interceptions. That's a bad blemish on your stat sheet.
Yeah, I mean what recruiters see, not just passing or not touchdowns. is your decision making. And a couple of times he's just thrown it right into the hands of McCallie. And don't take any credit away from the McCallie defense. Positioned perfectly. Conklin and Robinson read the quarterback's eyes. That's some experience right there. Not Conklin, I apologize. Tessman and Robinson reading the quarterback's eyes perfectly as Conklin is set to kick off.
I mean, despite the fact that a defensive lapse is what put Calhoun on the board, I'd say they're still balling out here.
Yeah, 12 seconds left to go in this first quarter. An entertaining first quarter nonetheless. Yes, a lot of defensive stops and then
a couple of big plays, just not too many points to show for it as this kick is squibbed and bounds out of bounds. Laundry will hit the field as
I think both teams understand that they have dynamic kick returners, so not trying to take any chances as you've seen with one squib kick and one pooch kick by Calhoun. And you saw that attempted squib kick there by Conklin, which ended up rolling out of bounds. So Calhoun will take over at the Blue Tornado 40-yard line.
I didn't see the players back to return for Calhoun, but I have a hunch that one of them might have been Jerriam Hain.
So ball will be placed at the Calhoun 35-yard line, and I apologize. With 12 seconds left to go in this first quarter.
Christian Lewis seeking some redemption after a second pick. Takes a snap, hands it off to Haim. Haim barreling forward. Gets a couple of yards.
And that'll run out our first quarter. Your score at the end of the first quarter, McCallie Blue Tornadoes 7, Calhoun Yellow Jackets 7. We will take a short break and be right back.
We're back here in Chattanooga where the game is tied 7-7 as we start the second quarter, and Christian Lewis passes outside to Jerriam Hain, who reaches out, might have a first down here.
Yeah,
first play.
Pushed out of bounds there by Michael May. You almost got that pressure, almost got to him there, the quarterback there. It's going to be 3rd down and 1 coming up for Calhoun. Let's see if they can convert here. It's going to be a big stop for the McCallie defense if they can get off the field here.
Yes, Christian Lewis with 2 picks on the night. Mentioned when the drive began, looking for a bit of redemption. We'll see if he can't convert here, but McCallie certainly desiring to get the O back on the field after a successful series of runs from B.J. Harris put him on the board. Lewis takes the snap, looks to his left, gets the first down, and Cole Spear is off to the races once again. Touchdown, Calhoun. Pay dirt once again for the Yellow Jackets. No laundry on the field. Another 6-point advantage for the visitors.
Yeah, quick pass out there right into the flats, just took off that speed.
And excellent downfield blocking, too. I mean, you got to commend Calhoun for setting a wall for Spear to strut into the end zone, 11:44. And on the second play in the quarter, Calhoun jumps out again. That kick is up and good. The advantage extended to 7. 14, the score for Calhoun now.
Yeah, Spear there just with his dynamic speed and ability. You saw him on returns. That squib by Conklin took him out to the 35-yard line. And then just a couple of quick passes out to the flat. And that's what happens sometimes when you get good downfield blocking. You can just take off. And, you know, he was untouched going into that end zone.
Calhoun definitely exploiting vulnerability in the McCallie defensive secondary, as we mentioned before the game. They're playing right into our predictions right now. And they're bearing some fruit despite the 2 picks.
Yes.
2 huge pass plays for touchdowns from Christian Lewis connecting.
It'll be
with
interesting
Spear
to see. So far, it looks like Christian Lewis is just prone to mistakes. It just seems to be. I mean,
but
he's got
like
a
you
great
mentioned,
eye.
there was great defensive positioning on both of those plays, too. I mean, you know, I can't say it's per lack of effort from either team right now. Maybe it's a lapse. Maybe it's defensive playmaking. But whatever the case may be, McCallie faces another 7-point deficit with 11:44 left in the second quarter. A low kick, this one going deep, received by Eric Rivers. Rivers, he's off to the races looking for a hole. Bounces outside, has a couple of blockers. He gets upfield and takes that one to the 31.
Great return there by Eric Rivers, going deep that time, the kicker. So Eric Rivers takes it out, and you know Eric Rivers just does what Eric Rivers does. Bounces it back inside, and there you go. Eric Rivers with a great return, with about 30-yard return. Puts McCallie in a decent position to start off, and we see, not Austin Breedlove, apologies, William Riddle out here to see what he can come up with and muster for this McCallie offense.
Yeah, and on Eric Rivers' agility, again, you'd see some returners just try taking that ball up the near sideline, but Eric Rivers tries to cut it back across the field and ultimately gets a couple of yards because of it. As Nick Robinson goes in motion, rare to see him on offense, as B.J. Harris takes the ball forward and gets a couple of yards. More than a few.
Yeah,
gets about 7 or 8. Looks like it'll be second and short for the Big Blue.
Yeah, you saw Nick Robinson there coming in from McCallie. Kenzie Paul coming off. B.J. Harris
coming off.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Rivers back on. And you see, that shows again kind of the lack of depth and the rotation of McCallie right now with Nick Robinson playing, again, both sides of the ball. You see a lot of players playing both sides.
I don't know if I'd attribute that to lack of depth per se. Maybe it's blocking. I didn't see where he went on that play, but McCallie showing a speed lineup. And actually... there you go, Nick Robinson again playing running back. McCallie trying to show some interesting looks in the backfield. I imagine trying to catch the Calhoun run D off guard.
Yeah, B.J. Harris is still not back on the field. Might be taking a couple of plays off. I mean, when you get so many touches in a game, you eventually will be fatigued. And let's just see how B.J. Harris adjusts to getting so many touches. Because, I mean, of course, last year you had D'Angelo Hardy, and you had so many offensive threats that you didn't have to take too many touches. But now you have to take so much, and you have to carry the load of the team.
There are, but it's been interesting not seeing as much passo from the Big Blue as we did last week, as Riddle connects with Rivers on a short gain. I'll bring up 2nd and 8.
Yeah,
2nd and 7.
Tackle there by Kane Smith there. Great play. Jose also throwing a great block, but that secondary coming in right there, giving him no space to breathe, nowhere to make a move.
Calhoun with a lot of size, too. The snap from Riddle. Looks downfield, holds the ball for a second. Can he connect with Paul? No, that ball sails out of bounds. Bringing up another 3rd and long situation for the Big Blue.
Yeah, Kenzie Paul there in double coverage. Riddle just looked his way the whole time. The defense read that perfectly and had to try to put that so close to the sideline that it just sailed over. So 3rd down and long coming up from McCallie. Let's see if they can convert here, as they've had a struggle tonight converting on 3rd downs.
3rd and 8. Riddle in shotgun. Takes a snap. Gonna roll with the RPO. He keeps it for himself, and he's eaten up. Number 41 for the Yellow Jackets, Christopher Lewis, with a great tackle on Riddle. Had a poor read right there. But admittedly, it looked like the Calhoun defense was all over that play. And McCallie will be forced to punt once again. You imagine that the vice is tightening for the Big Blue, down 7 and having to send the ball back to a Calhoun offense that's torched them twice.
Good punt there by Conklin inside the 20. Fielder there. There's a hole. He's got a couple
That's
blockers.
Spear. Will he have another play? Oh, my goodness. Spear is off to the races, and he'll take it to the house.
There is laundry on the field, though. Looks like it will be an illegal block in the back. So this looks to be coming back. But, of course, you saw that speed by Spear right there. So, I mean, he's going to be a threat all night. This Calhoun offense is no joke.
A guardian angel for the Big Blue. Spear looking to add on to what's already a career night for him. 2 long touchdown receptions and almost a punt return. McCallie certainly rattled here with 8 minutes 59 seconds in the second quarter. But again, a bit of mercy for the Big Blue. As that return is brought back, and the ball is spotted at the 40-yard line. Calhoun's offense will reassume possession. And McCallie D, certainly rattled, steps back onto the field seeking to send the Yellow Jackets back to the sideline. The visitors with a 7-point advantage. It's a timeout.
By Calhoun
Seems to be taken by Calhoun, yes.
But you go back to that last play by Riddle. I mean, again, that Calhoun defense all over the read option tonight. Nowhere to go, either for Breedlove or for Riddle. They've swarmed that secondary is coming, collapsed on it, giving them nowhere to go. That's a great play there and great read by that Calhoun defense.
No doubt. Difficult night for the Big Blue thus far. We'll see if they can't recover. But the big story thus far is vulnerability in the secondary. We'll see if that narrative is continued or if McCallie can't strengthen themselves as we approach the latter minutes of the half.
Yeah, it's been a game of defense so far for both teams. Just a couple of big plays happening on both sides of the field. I mean, of course, McCallie's defense coming up with 2 interceptions, but also 2 burns over the top. So it's going to be interesting to watch to see how this McCallie team adjusts.
Yeah, despite the fact that they have been getting interceptions, McCallie's defensive secondary just unable to stop those big plays as Christian Lewis gets the signal from the Calhoun sideline. Prepares to take the snap. Lewis hands it off to Hames. Hames.
Nowhere to go there. Tackled there by number 78, Austin Gentle, senior, playing both sides of the ball for the line as well.
Harvard commit, along with his brother, Jack.
And you see right now on defense, Kenzie Paul and Eric Rivers, both primarily wide receivers, but McCallie's defensive coordinator realizing that they need that speed in secondary right now to keep up with these wide receivers, such as Spear for Calhoun. So let's see how McCallie does adjust for the last 8.5 minutes and the rest of the game.
I will say, despite the fact that Hames came out with a couple of big rushes for Calhoun that certainly sparked the O, he's been quiet since then as the McCallie pass rush comes up big, but the screenplay, it appeared designed, is successful as Hames gets a gain, but not before the laundry comes out. And a holding is called on the offense, bringing the play back 10 yards. Big call for McCallie.
It's Gonna bring
Looked
that
like they were
back.
about to face second and short, but obviously now
second and long.
real long, as I'd say.
Yep.
8 minutes, 11 seconds remaining here in the half.
Holding penalty, 10 yards from the spot.
McCallie with a few gifts. Legal block in the back and a holding just then.
So 2nd and 25 coming up for Calhoun right now. And, I mean, a nice little design screenplay there by Calhoun, which got them a good amount of yards. But, I mean, of course, you can't be having those penalties right now, especially after a game like that. So it comes back 2nd and 25.
Christian Lewis takes a snap. Looking for a receiver. Almost eaten up. Will they get the sack? No. He rolls out to his right. Does he connect? Intercepted once again. A third pick. A flustered Christian Lewis tosses the ball up, and it's intercepted by Michael May.
Yeah, Kane Smith there immediately brought the pressure. Lewis just got out of that sack, but threw a terrible ball there right into the hands of Michael May. Great defense there. Tipped up. Michael May, that's your classic tip drill right there in football practice. And Michael May showing why practice does pay off there. First down now coming up from McCallie offense.
No question, there a huge lapse from Christian Lewis that puts the McCallie offense in Calhoun territory. Another big turn of events. Can McCallie finally seize a bit of offensive momentum here as William Riddle steps in the backfield? A timeout is called, I believe, by Calhoun once again. Second timeout called. Only leaving one left for the Yellow Jackets. So, you know, I'd say if we have a defensive story for McCallie right now, it's certainly some lapses in the secondary, but at the same time, Christian Lewis definitely gifting McCallie some prime scoring opportunities.
Yeah, especially coming out last week, McCallie having no turnover reception or turnover pickups on fumbles or interceptions against the Eagles. So McCallie hasn't been able to convert just yet. But I mean, of course, it'll be interesting to see who they go with quarterback. I mean, do you want Riddle back? No, not apologies. Breedlove back in to try and establish some sort of run game going, or do you want to keep it with Breedlove? Apologies. I am mixing up these quarterbacks right now. I truly apologize right now.
Hey, when you have a rotation like McCallie does, it's understandable to get the names a little confused now and then. But Riddle steps back out onto the field again, and this is only a shower thought, but my best guess right now is that McCallie is sort of refraining from showing the passo because of some of the size mismatches between the Calhoun secondary and the McCallie receiving core. As Eric Rivers goes in motion. He was lined up in the backfield with B.J. Harris, who takes the rush here and looks for a hole. Gets a good gain there for the Big Blue on first down.
Yeah, there you saw how far Jack Gentle got up the field, showing the power of that O-line. Apologies, B.J. Harris just following up the field, getting a good solid 7 yards. Second down coming up from McCallie.
That's what it's all about. The offensive line sets the edge. The running back runs with it. Second down and 4 for the Big Blue. Looks like they might have a good drive started as B.J. Harris is eaten up at the line of scrimmage once again.
Yeah, wrap down there. Number 3, Brett Garland there, just wrapping him up. Great ankle tackle. Third down now coming up for the Blue Tornadoes.
I mentioned a ton of offensive line talent for the Big Blue at the top of the program, but there should be an asterisk put beside it because there is a lack of experience on this O-line. Got a lot of freshman players on this McCallie offensive line, notably E.J. Smith.
E.J. Smith and Evan Smith, both not playing varsity last year, now coming in to the fray with Austin and Jack Gentle.
Well, Evan, obviously a senior, as this pass connects with Eric Rivers, and Eric Rivers puts a quick move on number 9. That is Quinn Smith playing defensive back for the Yellow Jackets. It'll be first down for the Big Blue after the solid reception by Eric Rivers.
Yeah, Riddle there, great pass outside into that little flat area. Eric Rivers doing what Eric Rivers does, makes a great little cut, takes it out of bounds, stops the clock at 6:18 in the second half.
Riddle in shotgun. The snap. The handoff. B.J. Harris looking for life. He's taken down after a solid gain on first. 6:05 remaining here in the first half. Time ticking.
B.J. Harris.
But McCallie's driving.
B.J. Harris with that great run. I mean, you saw him. He was about to be tackled for only a couple-yard gain, shedding that first tackle, which is such a good quality of B.J. Harris, seeing why he was so highly recruited coming out of his junior year. So now it'll be interesting to see what he can come up with his senior year as McCallie tries to make another run at state championship.
He's been struggling a bit tonight, but he does have the rushing touchdown, the sole points for McCallie tonight. C takes the ball again and tries breaking to the outside, but he's wrapped up. Number 12, Brett Bradley, the linebacker, on the tackle. An excellent play from the Calhoun defense, bringing BJ down for a loss of 2. Now 3rd and long for McCallie as they face 3rd and 7.
Yeah, of course. Again, BJ breaking that first tackle, as we just mentioned. But, again, that Calhoun secondary has been collapsing, and the Calhoun linebacker core has been collapsing on the run game so quickly that it gives McCallie a little bit of no room on the outside. So as long as these inside runs have been working, I don't see why McCallie doesn't keep with them.
Another handoff to B.J. Harris. That doesn't get much. And the Big Blue will be faced with another 4th down situation. Now they've gone for it twice. They failed twice. Do you think we see Conklin come out and try to put up some points for the Big Blue? Because as of right now, I don't see number 25 taking the field. All I see is Jose Osa checking in. And
I would not be surprised. Now you see Jose Osa just check in. I want to say watch for Jose Osa. Maybe it's a run. It's a run outside because, again, Jose Osa can throw such a great block. But Jose also has such good hands that could this be an outside pass to him. So just watch for this.
He's a sneaky weapon. The McCallie sets up their 4th down attempt of the game. Riddle alone in shotgun as the final timeout is called by Calhoun.
Calhoun using all 3 of their timeouts already. So if they do get the ball back, it'll be hard for them to stop the clock at any point.
Well, with the 7-point advantage, I don't think they're really vouching on having to run the 2-minute drill with a lot of urgency. But obviously McCallie driving right now. They really need to stop. McCallie can keep this drive alive. I imagine we'll be seeing some more points go up on the board. It's only a matter of time before either Riddle connects with a receiver in the end zone or B.J. Harris breaks off another solid run.
But this Calhoun defense, man, has been playing spectacular so
size.
far. Yeah,
a lot of size.
Yeah, nothing going for the outside run game. But what you've seen a success in McCallie right now is B.J. Harris going inside and then either cutting it back outside or just going right up the middle with that powerful O-line so far. That B.J. Harris has had so much success going down the middle, as B.J. Harris is much more of a downhill runner than more of like an outside speedster. So let's see what McCallie does come up here on 4th down and 5.
I got a hunch we might be seeing Riddle pass this. I may be wrong. Got 2 men in the backfield. Rivers put in motion. Riddle with the snap. Passes it to Kenzie Paul. Kenzie Paul has room. Kenzie Paul is off to the races, and he's into the end zone. McCallie converts on 4th down and puts 6 more points on the board.
Yeah, great play there by the McCallie offensive coordinator, Joel Bradford. Great call there. He had 2 guys open in the end zone. He had Nick Robinson wide open. That was my initial first fear. Like, oh no, is this not going to go? But great pass there outside to Kenzie Paul. And then the O-line, you just saw rumbling, bumbling, throwing a great block there, Gentle. And, when Gentle throws a block, you know what's going to happen. They're not getting off that block.
He is a stud for sure. That PAT is no good, and McCallie will still be at a disadvantage of 1. But Kenzie Paul, the transfer out of Canada, seeing his first touchdown in a McCallie uniform.
Yeah, of course, he had that touchdown against Knox Webb. But, I mean, that's much more of a stepping stone for him. So
shows you how closely I focus on the Knox Webb game.
Yeah. I mean, of course, Knox Webb was still a good game. It was a good test for McCallie. Of course, after only 1 week of practices. And then, I mean, of course, the Eagles game, it was super, super tight. And, I mean, McCallie, again, only 2 weeks of practice going into that Eagles game. So, they played incredibly well for what they've had. But an issue has been special teams. You've seen it tonight. That punt return for a touchdown, a good game off a kickoff, and Conklin shanking one out of bounds. Has special teams been a weak area?
Yeah, I think it has. We've never really had. I mean, obviously last year with Andrew Pescott, soccer player, commit to ETSU. Obviously an asset to us last year on a McCallie team that also seemed to be lacking in the special teams department. This just seems like an ongoing narrative for the Big Blue. Ever since the days of Alec Earp, they've struggled to find a really good replacement. Conklin, who started out playing slot receiver for the Big Blue. So this ball is received by number 16 for the Yellow Jackets. That is Cameron Dodd.
Yeah, a little pooch kick there by Conklin. Didn't want to risk anything there. But, yeah, I think it's been the little mistakes a lot from McCallie, whether it be a lapse in judgment in the secondary or something like kicking a ball out of bounds or missing a PAT, because you see these add up for a while. And, I mean,
it's free yards. It's free yards, and football's a game of inches. Every yard is precious on the gridiron. And McCallie with a few significant lapses that have certainly put them in some precarious positions throughout this game. They obviously still don't have the game tied at a deficit of 1 after that missed PAT from Conklin. So this ball is tossed out to Hames.
Good tackle
Gets
there.
3.
Tackle there by number 19, Matthew Plunkett. But that toss was about 5 yards deep, so you got to understand that sometimes that run comes in so deep that what is only a 2-yard gain is a 7-yard run to start with. So it's interesting to see like those run plays, and shows you the importance of a running back who can really take the ball and carry it upfield so quickly.
He is. He definitely has a lot more pure acceleration than a B.J. Harris type, who's certainly a bit more plodding behind the line of scrimmages. Christian Lewis rolls out and looks downfield, tries to find a target but throws it away. But again, I'd say that Hames is certainly a powerful runner, and that's a similarity that he shares with B.J. Harris, but I definitely think he's more of a pure speedster, at least based off what I've seen thus far in the matchup. 3 minutes, 20 seconds remaining here in the half.
Yeah, of course, the quarterback there, Christian Lewis, tried to roll out. John David Tessman stepped up, and Lewis just had to float it over his head out of bounds towards the direction of receiver because he had nothing going there and doesn't want to throw his 4th interception of the game, which is interesting to talk about because you've talked about it. 2 passing touchdowns already, but you've also
3
had
interceptions. Not exactly the best stat sheet for Christian Lewis. C sets up in shotgun again. Has Hames to his right. Drops back. Looking to pass again. So this ball sails deep once again. Maybe, I don't know if that was miscommunication or throwaway. But Cole Spear certainly cutting that route short, and that'll bring up 4th and 8. And the Calhoun punt team will come out for the first time in quite a while. Surely a good sight for the Big Blue, who still face a deficit of 1, but finally seem to be gaining some offensive traction.
Yeah, you talk about that. I mean, it looked like some sort of miscommunication. Spear comes down. Lewis floats it over the top. And those are scary, especially for an offensive coordinator, because that can cause, an interception, which you don't want another one of now. As Eric Rivers catches and takes it up.
Rivers, he's looking for a hole. He has one. Breaks that tackle. Rivers stays on his feet. He's outside. He's got open field ahead of him. Eric Rivers, the X Factor, but there is laundry on the field. A punt return for each team tonight, both of which are going to be called back. A gorgeous play from Eric Rivers. All for nothing. Aaron Crowder, number 26 on the field, just as distraught as I am up here in the booth to see that play called back.
Yeah, that's a real tough call there. Eric Rivers and Aaron Crowder is so frustrated with himself right now with that. I mean, I kind of saw that happen. I'm like, oh no, not again. But I mean, that's again 2 plays that have been brought back for an illegal block in the back.
And it goes back to what you were saying about lapses.
Yeah.
Certainly a sloppy game by these 2 teams thus far. You can't really identify one team that's been especially dominant. Both have had their share of costly errors that have really made this game more competitive than it should be, considering some of the plays made by both of these squads.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Crowder is 2nd year on varsity. He doesn't expect those mistakes out of himself, and neither does head coach Ralph Potter. But, happens to the best of us. So
Another thing I'll say about Crowder, too, is he's incredibly passionate. He's a big personality, and he's a physical presence. But now and then you got to restrain that. A costly error from McCallie. Takes 7 off the board, but Riddle connects with Jose Osa for a gain of either 7 or 8 here on the first play of the drive.
great pass out there by Riddle. Again, Jose Osa, if you ever need a guy with safe hands, you go to Osa. Put it anywhere near his body. Most likely he will come down with it. 7 yards on the play, so 2nd down and 3 coming up.
Certainly a big presence at receiver. He can run a shifty route, too. That's Nick Robinson going in motion as B.J. Harris takes the handoff and breaks up field for a first down for the Big Blue. Good run out of him.
Yeah, I talked about B.J. Harris not being the most agile, but making a couple of good cuts out there. Kind of a similar player I see in the NFL right now is a little bit of a Derrick Henry type, where Derrick Henry is such a good downhill runner, but when he needs to make those cuts, he can, as you saw, of course, for the local Tennessee Titans.
One thing I will say is the size deficit between the two of them is substantial as Harris takes another run. Minute 58, clock ticking here in the first half. McCallie seems to be burning time, certainly taking advantage of the fact that Calhoun expended all 3 of their timeouts on that drive that ended in the touchdown reception between Riddle and Kenzie Paul. Riddle, another big touchdown pass on the season for him as that ball bounces off the hands of John Cole McAdams, the junior.
Yeah, I mean, William Riddle, of course, guided by his older brother, Robert Riddle, who, came through McCallie, was a starter, is currently still plays at Mercer, actually, after getting another year of eligibility. It's a great story there. But you can tell Riddle is kind of much more calm in the situation. You can see that he's making all the right reads, all the right throws. I mean, the receivers just have to come up with the catch with 3rd down and 5 coming up.
He's performed consistently, too, as B.J. Harris takes this one upfield, and McCallie will face 4th and short once again.
Yeah, but Laundry is on the field, so it's going to be interesting to see. And it's going to be holding against the offense, so this play is going to come back. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Calhoun wants to take this penalty because McCallie has had no success on 4th down.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Touchdown play. Mackenzie Paul came on a 4th down conversion. McCallie's might not convert well when running the ball to B.J. Harris on 4th down in this game, but when they went to the pass attack, they certainly caught Calhoun off guard. Anytime you see yellow flags come out in your offensive backfield, it's never a good feeling as McCallie now faces 3rd down and 18.
Ooh, and a long 18. And what would have had you in a 4th and 1 is now a 3rd and 18. And you see, it looks like Eric Rivers at quarterback.
The X Factor doing what the X Factor does, but he butchers the snap, stays on his feet looking for an opening, but he is gobbled up for another loss. And McCallie will now have to send the punt team out once again. Another disappointing drive from the Big Blue.
Yeah, you talk about an X Factor. I mean, Eric Rivers, I apologize, just bobbled that ball. I mean, what usually is a simple catch for him. I mean, I think he felt the pressure. I mean, it was interesting to see because there was questions, will Eric Rivers be quarterback this year coming into the season?
He played quarterback with me on JV back when I was a player. Good punt out of Conklin, another one. So this dribbles down inside of the 10-yard line. They just mishandled that one there. I didn't really get a good view and saw whether or not the snap was a messy one.
Yeah, snap was just a little bit high. But I mean, I think
he got his hands on it.
Conklin with a great punt again. Conklin's punting is the strong point.
He might not be the best place kicker, but he does have a knack for putting a lot of front spin on his punts and getting that ball to dribble. He might not have a lot of carry, just purely with his arc coming off his foot. But my goodness, can he get a ball to roll? I mean, last game, him with I believe a 68-yard punt that pinned Brentwood deep.
Yeah, that roll has really been a key factor. I mean, in field placement as well, as he gets swallowed up there, the running back there, Hames. So 2nd down coming up for Calhoun.
Again, McCallie's run defense very strong here in the game. A couple of big early runs for Hames. It's been relatively quiet since, as McCallie calls a timeout, trying to preserve time on the clock and force a 3 and out.
And, I mean, you talk about linebacker cores. I think McCallie has one of the best in this whole state of Tennessee. John David Tessman, Nick Robinson can come down and play. Hey, you have Aaron Crowder. I mean, that's just a solid group of guys right there.
Well, another thing I'll say about Tessman is that unlike some of the bigger, bulkier linebackers that we have, like Crowder, he's a bit more sheer. And on plays like that interception he had earlier, he shows his knack for being almost like a hybrid safety.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys on defense and offense can play a lot of different positions, and that's what you've been seeing throughout this season. So it'll be interesting to see how that carries on to the rest of the game. And as you know, you have that defensive right now of Plunkett, Gentle, and E.J. Smith, Matthew Plunkett, and number 97. They're not Gentle. I apologize.
Pilon.
Thomas Pilon, new boarder from not France. I apologize. Canada. I am struggling tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize.
Couple of big Canadian transfers too. Him alongside Kenzie Paul.
Yep.
Christian Lewis sets up in the Calhoun offensive backfield. Takes a snap, looks to his left. That spear, once again, hit hard.
There's a flag on the field. It might be coming back for a holding. You saw that block set up there. It looked like it was a holding on the jersey just a little bit. So it looks like it. Let's see what the call is.
It's a big hit out of Jackson Burns. Came over the top, connected hard. I was actually afraid for a second that there was going to be a helmet-to-helmet call, but I don't think that exists here in the TSSAA.
Yeah, that's good. Play is going to come back for holding, so second down coming up for Calhoun. And, I mean, again, but you saw last time what happened when they were pinned this deep, a 99-yard touchdown to Spears. So it's going to be interesting to see how the secondary lines up with Spears, such a dynamic threat.
For sure, McCallie can't let down their guard here. As time begins to tick away here in the first half, 39 seconds remaining. Score currently 14-13, advantage Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, after that missed Conklin kick right there. If McCallie does get possession back, being pinned so far deep, the Yellow Jackets, McCallie will have a chance to maybe get into field goal range and put up an extra 3 points.
Maybe they can reassume the lead. We'll see, but that would demand a big play depending upon what Calhoun's strategy is on. Well, again, they likely be punting if McCallie can get them off the field before time expires here in the first half.
Put 41 seconds back on the clock, an extra 2 seconds.
Great sign if you're with McCallie.
Yeah,
I mentioned yards are precious. Time is precious as well. Both.
As Lewis sets up.
Lewis hands off to Hames. Hames looking for a hole. Breaks up. Still be 3rd and long. It appears to be 3rd and 7 or 8.
McCallie there calls their timeout. Route Potter running over to call that timeout. With seems to be 2 timeouts left, I think, now.
Yep, and this will be the play that decides whether or not we see the Big Blue go back out onto the field. Obviously, they can stop the clock twice. 2 more times, I should say.
They can only stop it 1 more. I apologize.
Oh, they
the scoreboard
finally
wasn't
updated
open.
the scoreboard.
So, but if McCallie does get a stop, I mean, Riddle can air it out. Breedlove both also can air it out. I mean, McCallie has no lack of passing offense.
They do. They have the potential to be incredibly explosive through the air. But the other thing you got to ask yourself is, what if Calhoun has another big punt like they did last time? McCallie obviously pinned deep in their own territory last time. After a really bad punt first time out of Calhoun, they certainly bounced back on an impressive special teams display out of them.
Yeah, I think if I was Potter, I think even no matter how dynamic Eric Rivers and Kenzie Paul are, I think you just need to take it into halftime and try and come up and see what's been working for you, because they've had a lot of things work for them so far. Like B.J. Harris, those inside runs and then cutting them outside have been working super well for him.
Like the game has not been without its highlights for the Big Blue. It's not been the prettiest affair, but the Big Blue have faced far worse than a 1-point deficit. And Calhoun certainly desiring to preserve their lead as Hames takes the handoff here, tries to find open field, but is brought down short. Timeout, McCallie.
32 seconds now left in the half. Pelon there with the tackle. Great tackle there. 4th and 2 coming up.
No timeouts for the Big Blue.
And it looks like Calhoun's punt team will come out now.
We'll see. I don't know. You think Calhoun might get bold, try pulling out a fake? Are they feeling lucky today?
They have had some great plays, but I think being pinned so far deep, I think if they were at maybe, say, the 40-yard line and punting, it'd be much more reasonable because you still have those yards to give. Right now, you have very few yards to give with Conklin having a decent leg, even though he's missed a point after so far.
Plus, currently on the 17. I tend to agree with you. I'm testing you.
But you never know. Calhoun will try to pull out all the tricks. I mean, you talk about pulling out tricks. Last year, Baylor, their first punt, took it for a first down after a fake. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Just keep your eye out for a fake.
We'll see what they do. Regardless, an interesting affair here early. 32 seconds on the clock here in the second quarter. The return core coming out as Calhoun converses in the huddle. The punt team will come out.
Eric Rivers, the deep man right now for McCallie. I mean, you saw it, that electric punt return last time.
Took one to the house, but brought back after that illegal block in the back. We'll see if he can't pull out another huge play like that again. It would be a gift here late in the first half. A false start there. Might be an illegal delay game, actually. Missed the hand signal from the refs up here in the booth. Ball brought back another 5 yards.
Again, gives Eric Rivers more room to work with, which you know, again, never want to do.
Surprised they didn't reset the clock to 32 seconds, though.
And that looks like what they might be discussing.
Right? I was about to say, last I looked at the clock, yes, and sure enough, it updates. 32 seconds remaining here in the first half. Yeah, second I looked over, we got a nice large scoreboard here at Finley Stadium.
Great, Michael May
running out. Ball snapped. Mishandled a bit by the punter. This looks short. See where it's spotted. Takes a big jump. And this ball will trickle out to the McCallie 42-yard line.
Yeah, great bounce there.
Yeah. Waited for the spot there.
Yep. Great bounce there, of course. That nice little flick up and just rolled back a little bit. Good coverage there by Calhoun special teams. But now you got 22 seconds to work. You're down inside, but not too far inside your territory. I think you go for it. I think you just air one out and just see what happens.
Well, you can't be too reckless, though. I mentioned it throughout the game. Calhoun, certainly with a lot of size in their defensive secondary, you don't want to throw into a mismatch and possibly risk a big turnover here late.
Yeah, be prepared to see a few out routes going out of bounds right to McCallie.
Riddle rolls out. Finds Jose Osa, who gets out of bounds. Excellent play for the Big Blue. 17 seconds on the clock currently.
The commentator's talking right there. Call that out route. Right, steps out of bounds, stops the clock with 17 seconds in a great play there.
Couldn't have executed any better. Just like they drew it up. It's the Big Blue gained their first down of the drive.
I mean, you see how calm Riddle there is in the pocket. Rolls out, keeps his eyes downfield, and I mean, it shows you someone who's been bred to be a quarterback.
Riddle drops back again. Looks for a target. This time, John Cole McAdams. They hold on to it. No, it slipped through his arms. His second drop of the game. The junior struggling early. So clock stops. 12 seconds remaining. 2nd and 10. Big Blue.
So it's interesting to see Kenzie Paul now coming back in for John Cole McAdams. I mean, I don't put it past him. Put Kenzie Paul in a fade. Kenzie Paul, I mean, he's got a great build, great speed, and great just what you want is an ideal wide receiver.
He demonstrated it on the McCallie touchdown play as Riddle tries to connect with him again, but this ball sails high. A little wobbly coming out of his hand. The delivery not quite what I think he wanted. As he tried to get that ball out to Kenzie. Ran the same route as Jose Osa, that little nice out route.
Yeah, 10 yards, then cut out. I mean, McCallie's thrown that 3 times in a row now, same side. You saw kind of the linebacker and one of the safeties lurking on it just a little bit.
Don't know if they're trying to bait the Calhoun offense into defending on that side and maybe opening something up. I don't know if that's the most honest play call that you can make if you're Joel Bradford.
Flag.
So flag comes out, false start on the offense. Not what you want to see if you're a McCallie fan. With 7 seconds remaining on the clock, McCallie will be forced to drop back another 5 yards. 3rd and 15. McCallie, not ideal. Another lapse out of them. As the second is put back onto the clock. 14-13, still your score here at Finley Stadium.
I'm interested to see what these safeties do, though, because these safeties are quite high, especially for like a deep ball out.
Well, they got to be protecting the deep ball as Riddle unloads it. Does he connect? He does. McCallie needs to run. Doesn't look to be any time on the clock.
Valparta saying there's 1 second left. Let's see if the offensive line can get up there and just spike it quickly.
Can they get there in time? That's the question. McCallie got to run if they want any chance of getting some points here and assuming the lead going into the locker room.
Yeah,
Calhoun already making their way over.
It looked to me as if there was 2 seconds left as he got touched. And
the McCallie contingent annoyed. The Big Blue will enter the locker room empty-handed at the end of the first half after a short ball out of Riddle was caught.
And Cole Spear limping off there. That's not a good sign if you're a Calhoun fan.
No, but admittedly the scoreboard isn't a good sight for the Big Blue either. After 1 half of play, the Blue Tornado face a 1-point deficit entering the locker room. We'll return to you after 15 minutes with the second half of play here. Stay tuned. Don't touch that TV dial.
Now presenting for your halftime entertainment, the Calhoun Marching Yellow Jackets and McCallie Tornado wins. Calhoun's band director, Mr. Larry Brown, is thankful the Marching Yellow Jackets will get to share the field this evening with the McCallie Tornado wins. Mr. Brown and McCallie's directors, Mr. Brent Alberson and Mr. Michael Ake, have been friends for many years. We're all thrilled for our students to perform together. In May of this year, the Chattanooga band community suffered a huge loss when Tony D'Andrea passed away. Mr. D'Andrea was the band director of the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga from 1982 to 2005. Tony had many wonderful bands, some of which performed here at Finley Stadium. Mr. Alberson, Ake, and Brown were all students at UTC during this time, and would like to dedicate tonight's performance to Tony and his wife, Jenny, both of whom have had great influence in their lives and careers. Words cannot express how much we all love the D'Andreas. Starting things off tonight, the Marching Yellow Jackets will perform Tainted Love by Soft Cell, Don't Stop Believing by Journey, and the CHS Fight Song. At that time, the Tornado Winds will join the Yellow Jackets on the field to perform the song Neck by Cameo. The Tornado Winds will conclude tonight's performance with a tribute to the rock band Queen. The Calhoun band staff includes Tracy Farabah, Major Ed Instructor, Madison Bunch, Assistant Major Ed Instructor, Meredith Lackman, Color Guard Instructor, Jonathan Lackman, Visual Instructor, and Robert Melville, Percussion Instructor. The Yellow Jackets are directed by Thomas Osborne and Larry Brown. The Tornado Wind staff includes Chip Hancock, Percussion Instructor, and are directed by Brent Alberson and Michael Ake. Drum majors Lily Stevens, Marley Jackson, and Casey Chapman. Is the band ready?
I want to be prepared for it. It's a process, and the outcome is in my own hands. But the journey is too important to go at it alone. I need guidance. I need mentors, teachers, friends, people who love me enough to see past my imperfections, who will build me up, who aren't afraid to push me or demand my best effort, my full commitment. But I must realize this journey is not about me, because my goal is not to glorify myself, gain riches, or recognition. It's to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. This won't always be easy. I don't know what trials I will face or what adventures my life has in store, but I do know one thing. My journey will not end here. In fact, it has just begun. What makes
Coolest thing I've done at camp this week is blowing up a Pringles
I
can.
blew up a Pringles can. Sort of like rain Pringles. And that was a lot of fun.
The lake, it's like amazing.
You get to jump off the tower, you have a humongous slide, you can play volleyball.
You get to swim a lot.
It's really fun. My favorite thing about camp is the game room.
I play air hockey. I play ping
It's this
pong.
like giant room that has a bunch of video games, arcade games, and pool. The food here is really good.
I actually really like the food because I like their Hawaiian pizza and cheese. I really love the salads.
I like the pasta.
I always get the cheese sandwich every day. The ice cream's so good. It's the best ice cream I've ever tasted. Minecraft is this game you have 4 different modes: spectator, adventure, survival, and creative. It's a sandbox game where you can do basically anything you want. It's an endless world.
My favorite thing about fly fishing would have to be actually catching the fish. We've caught some sunfish and some bass.
You feel that tug on the line, and you know you're hooked up.
It feels really exhilarating, and your adrenaline starts pumping trying to get the fish in.
Just like the best feeling ever.
I've learned how to Photoshop, the rule of thirds, how to focus the camera correctly, dominant objects, and how to take better pictures.
My favorite thing about being a counselor is being able to really act like a 7-year-old all day long. It's so much fun.
I try to teach them about teamwork and sportsmanship, winning the right way.
A lot of times I'll see my campers looking out for each other, and that's pretty cool.
I like being a role model to them. I like seeing them kind of look up to me in a way.
Welcome back to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we have a war of attrition here between the Calhoun Yellow Jackets and the McCallie Blue Tornado. The score currently stands at 14 Calhoun, 13 Big Blue. In a game that has seen both teams suffer from a lot of errors in judgment, a lot of lapses in execution that have resulted in a tight affair. After the first half of play, McCallie kicking off here to start the second half. After a failed drive at the end of the first half to get a couple of points up and take the lead, Conklin on the kickoff. Ball sails deep into the end zone. Touchback here to open up. Got some stats after the first half. Karan, what do you make of the performances from Calhoun and McCallie after one?
Yeah, immediately the first stat that popped out to me was BJ Harris already with 18 carries on the night. And he only had 25. I mean, when you put 18 on a guy like that already, and they're not just quick breakaway runs, they're physical, tough runs. I mean, that's going to take a toll. So it's going to be interesting to see how McCallie utilizes, because they had passing offense success. So it'll be interesting to see how McCallie functions their offense.
It will for sure. Christian Lewis coming out again at quarterback for Calhoun. Handoff. This doesn't look like Hames. We'll see what the digit is when he pops up. It is. My eyes were deceiving me. Hames on the run. He'll take 5 right there.
An interesting stat. Calhoun only had 18 rushing yards, but where their net came from was, I mean, you guessed it, the passing game, 202. My God. Well, McCallie had 90.
Again, McCallie definitely showing a reliance on the running offense as Jarian Hames is tripped up short of first down. But, I mean, the other story out of the passing offense for Calhoun is the turnovers.
Yep, of course. I mean,
Christian Lewis with 3 on the night.
Yeah, three interceptions already. And, I mean, great tackle there by Kane Smith, showing you how versatile this defense is, especially talking about this linebacker core. This linebacker core can drop back and play pass coverage, but can also step up and blitz or cover the run if they need to. So it shows a lot of versatility.
They have, although I will admit they aren't as strong on the pass rush as they have been in years past, as Christian Lewis rolls out, connects, doesn't hold on to it. Hold on, that was Jaden Brock.
That was a great play there, but that ended up just not coming through. Number 41 is now out there. Jay Williams, a sophomore, was a player out there in that defensive lineup. So it'd be interesting to see if they're going to start giving some of the younger guys more time, and also thinking about the future, because these guys do need a lot more time and a lot more experience under their belts.
Yeah, that ball just bounced off of Brock's hands. I'll bring up 4th down and short for Calhoun. The punt is away. Eric Rivers back to return. This ball dribbles out past the 30, up to the McCallie 25-yard line. And there the Big Blue offense will assume possession.
Yeah, I mean, going back to some of the stats, like the Calhoun Yellow Jackets end up having more yards just purely based on that passing game of theirs. That arm there by Cameron Lewis has put most of his throws on the money, but when they haven't, they've been so costly that it's kind of counteracting each other right now, in a sense. So it'll be interesting to see how they recover, and now it's going to be interesting to see as William Riddle has now stepped out back for McCallie to be their starting quarterback to start the second half. So it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with BJ Harris in the backfield with him.
He got something going at the end of the first half. He has 1 passing touchdown on the night. Managed to connect with Kinsey Paul as BJ Harris takes this rush, finds a hole, gets to the outside. Does he have the speed to beat the defensive back? He doesn't, but a solid truck on Spear. It's BJ Harris with another electrifying run to open up the second half offense for the Big Blue.
Yeah, he completely ran over Will Siemens there, number 8 there. But just that power, pure power there. But great blocking there, great vision. You saw him, he held back for half a second, then hit that hole and just attacked it, which is something that BJ does so well.
Showing a bit of power, too, at the end of that game. As we see Aaron Crowder actually coming in trying to establish edge blocking for the Big Blue, the linebacker, as that rush from BJ Harris stopped at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Aaron Crowder now checking out. Emil Bellerose checking in another of the boarders. So those 3 boarders from Canada are, again, Thomas Pelon, Emil Belrose, and Kenzie Paul. All three guys who are already starting. Shows you how much of an impact they've already had on this McCallie team.
They are. I'm trying to recall if Pilone was a starter last game or if he is the substitute for James Howard. Obviously out with an MCL sprain. He will be for the next couple of weeks after injuring it on an attempted punt defense. As B.J. Harris with another run puts a move on the first tackler, but he manages to hold on and drag Harris down. But not before getting within 1 yard of a first down.
Great cut there by B.J. Harris, just kind of, taking it outside. And that edge block is now really starting to set up well. Was a weakness in the first half for them, but B.J. has been able to bounce outside. And, McCallie's been having a lot of success now. Let's see if McCallie does air it out, because you see Calhoun stacking the box.
Certainly a little bit of vulnerability for them as B.J. Harris trips up. Does he have enough to get to the first down? B.J. looked like his cleat got caught in the turf a little bit.
And it looks like the chains will move, though, so it will be a first down for McCallie. But he had another hole there, and that blocking is really starting to set up.
A fortunate break for B.J. God forbid that was short. It would have been big as a Calhoun player is on the ground. Appears to be cramping up. He's grasping his left quad. Looks like number 41 for the Yellow Jackets. That's Christopher Lewis.
Yeah, going back to the McCallie offense, there's been no pass plays so far. It's been all on the ground to B.J. Harris, and he's been able to get outside super well and, bounce out and just gain a lot of yards.
Well, Riddle hasn't been entirely silent either. Obviously the play that put McCallie back in contention in this contest was a big fourth down conversion to Kenzie Paul that ended up resulting in 6 points. Obviously, McCallie's still facing a deficit of 1 after the missed PAT from Jack Conklin. Lewis still on the field. Appears to be stretching out his leg. Didn't quite see what happened on the play, but he seems to be cramping up.
Especially coming out cold. Yeah, coming out cold out of that locker room. Even though you can get warm up, but especially when you jump right back into the fray, it can definitely be a struggle sometimes. So it's good to see him walk off under his own power. We'll see if he'll be able to continue for the rest of the game.
I imagine he'll be back out after he made his way over to the Calhoun sideline. The Big Blue offense will step back out after a brief conference. Riddle, still back at quarterback. Now in Yellow Jacket territory, takes the snap. Fakes the handoff to Robinson, connects with Eric Rivers. Eric Rivers almost broke out, and a flag comes in.
It's a great slant route there, great find. It'll put it right into his chest, and it looks like it's going to be
another
be
hold.
Tornadoes.
It seems another costly error. Play that would have been a first down. Now likely go for 10 yards in the other direction and bring up 1st and 20.
Looked to be some.
Trying to figure things out. So one of the men on the offensive line got outside of the 5-yard limit. The McCallie offense will be penalized 5 yards with 8 minutes, 48 seconds on the clock here in the third quarter.
But that's an interesting play. You saw Rivers wide open. It seems like Calhoun's been running much more of his zone defense tonight. So let's see if Riddle can find and deliver into those little pockets that was Eric
that play eerily similar to the one that Rivers scored on against Brentwood as Riddle is eaten up for a sack. Number 3, Brett Garland.
My goodness, did he come fast off that line.
Shot through the O-line and put Riddle on the turf for a loss.
Gave me a little bit of a Troy Polamalu, a little bit of an aura there. Just shot through that gap, got right to the quarterback immediately.
Only difference being that he, according to the roster, plays on the D-line, but regardless, he put a solid move on the McCallie O-line. I didn't see the specific blocker getting to William Riddle and putting him down, bringing up 2nd and 20. They have to deal with 1st and 20, but now they still have to make up that yardage as another poor play made by the Big Blue will result in another loss.
Quinn Smith
Make it 3rd and 25. The Big Blue struggling to get going again after that costly ineligible man downfield penalty.
Yeah, Quinn Smith there really read that route perfectly, recognized that the check down was coming, and just jumped it and immediately took him out. Great play there by Quinn Smith. Great couple of last plays by the Calhoun defense. All that started with the McCallie mistake, so now you have 3rd down and 22 to go. And
the official spot, 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It's Riddle, takes a snap, steps back, looking for a receiver. He connects with Osa. Jose Osa holds on. Big gain for the Big Blue, but it's not enough for the first down.
Puts them inside field goal territory right there. But looks like the offense will stay out, and no. I mean, of course, the 1 4th down conversion they've had went for a touchdown, so it'll be interesting to see.
Well, unfortunately, not the 1 4th down conversion that they made. McCallie currently 1 for 3 on 4th down conversions. Although, last time they did convert, they were driving. They were about on this spot on the field, too, when they connected with Kenzie Paul.
Yeah, William Riddle just got that pass off before the pressure reached him. You saw number 16 right off the edge there. Camille Belrose goes into...
Good composure under pressure as Riddle rolls out, looks for Rivers, connects! Touchdown, Big Blue!
Wide open in the back of the end zone. Eric Rivers just beat his man. Pure speed. For pure speed, not many people can match up against Eric Rivers in the NCAA.
Another touchdown for the X Factor on the season.
Great ball there by William Riddle, who was on the move, set himself again, rifled that ball into his hands. Eric Rivers is never going to drop that ball, and it's going to be good for 6.
Riddle showing why he's a formidable talent when passing, connecting with his favorite target, Eric the X Factor Rivers.
Here we go.
As he gets into the end zone for the first time tonight.
McCallie goes for 2 on this. See if they can get it.
Riddle steps back looking for a receiver.
Ooh.
That's over the head of Kenzie Paul.
Yeah.
McCallie can't get the game to 21. Instead, the score will be 19-14, 5-point advantage for the Big Blue.
Yeah.
But for the first time in the game, McCallie has an advantage.
Yep, I mean, you saw that Riddle had Kenzie Paul wide open, just overthrew that a little bit. Got one hand on it, but it wasn't able to pull it in. So now, but a 5-point advantage is a very interesting advantage because it was a similar one to that McCallie had in Brentwood again last week, which, ended up costing them losing by 2. It's 30-28. So it's interesting to see. But, I mean, McCallie seems to be getting a foothold. You saw the offensive line really starting to set up blocks outside for B.J. Harris. So if B.J. Harris can really establish his ground game, I think McCallie can try to shut out the lights that way.
Well, and again, 2 big passing plays that I certainly think could be attributed to the defense playing a bit more downfield, trying to minimize B.J. Harris's impact. Good play calling from Joel Bradford. So McCallie takes a 5-point lead over the Yellow Jackets with 6 minutes, 18 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Ball is caught in the end zone for a touchback. Ball will be brought out to the 20.
Now let's see what the Calhoun offense can really come up with. I mean, got snuffed out on that last drive. Let's see.
They did.
Let's see if McCallie can try to come up. What the Calhoun offense can really come up with something. I mean, they had some success on that drive with the run game, and I mean right now their passing game has been their strongest point. Let's see if they take it back to the air.
We'll see. As we mentioned throughout the night, a large area of vulnerability for the Big Blue has been in their defensive secondary. And considering how often they've been running the ball to Hames, might be trying to lull them in. As Lewis connects on the outside. Looked like Spears. Spear on the reception, but he's eaten up behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of 2.
Yeah, great play there by John David Testament and Nick Robinson, both collapsing on it. I mean, those quick little almost screen plays, those bubble plays, haven't been working out well for both teams. I mean, they actually, well, then again, Calhoun did have one go all the way for a touchdown, so I might have spoken too soon, but great read there by the experienced Nick Robinson.
Jackets facing 2nd and 12 now. Christian Lewis tries to pass out there to the left. Doesn't yield any gained yards. This time he hands it off to Hames. Hames breaking upfield, taken down by John David Tessman. 17 showing his physicality, wrestling Hames to the ground.
Yeah, that linebacker core, Aaron Crowder and John David Tessman, is something that all teams really have to look at in film, because you try to run it through them, and I mean, if your blockers don't get to the second level, which is difficult because of how successful this McCallie D line is, it's hard for them to get to that second level, and it just allows John David Tessman and Aaron Cotta to get those easy tackles because they have really no one to block them.
An interesting look on the D line too. It appears as though Matthew Plunkett, linebacker, playing on the outside, almost like a defensive end. He charges forward. Christian Lewis connects with Spear. Huge first down play. They had to face first and long, and they rose to the challenge just then.
Yeah,
Cole Spear continues to perform tonight for the Yellow Jackets.
That's a great play there. Great protection. You saw quarterback had a lot of time there in that pocket. Number 14, Christian Lewis, just was able to sit back, wait for the route to get open, found it, and now is right inside, right next to the 50.
Big play from Spear, keeps the drive aligned. Lewis looks again, but that ball falls incomplete. Looking for Hames on that play, his running back.
Yeah. Thomas Pillon really getting off that line there. You saw him break through those couple of guys and just pressure the quarterback immediately. Pillon looking like a great player on defense tonight.
He has, and back in the Brentwood game, he broke through a couple of times, putting pressure on Taylor Montiel.
Yeah, Pillon looks like a player to watch out for the rest of the season, especially as he develops more and more.
Timeout called by McCallie. Not exactly the thing you want to see. In the early stages of the second half, 4 minutes, 15 seconds, the Big Blue will stop the clock. Host a conference. It appeared as though the defense out of position.
You see number 41 there. Number 41, Jay Williams, a sophomore, has been getting a few reps in. Interesting to see that, and shows you that these McCallie teams really need rotation right now.
A lot of youth. You mentioned at the start of the game, there's a lot of fresh talent on this McCallie defense. But with youth, there comes a lack of experience, and we've certainly seen a good bit of that here tonight. McCallie giving up a couple of huge plays in their defensive secondary. One of the reasons why they were facing a deficit throughout the entire first half, or the majority of the first half.
Yes, first time. I haven't seen Adam Poland come out on the field since that one play where he got beat over the top for a touchdown. So it's interesting to see the adjustments, but you see him in the box there ready to come on when need be. But 2nd and 10 coming up for Calhoun. Wouldn't be surprised if they take it back to the air again. Let's see what they do as Michael May instructing his defense.
We'll see what they do. Christian Lewis, still a quarterback for Calhoun. A lot of explosive plays from him. A lot of mistakes from him, too. I'd say if there's one reason why McCallie is still in this contest, it's because of those interceptions from Calhoun. As the ball is handed off to Hames, who's gobbled up in the backfield. That's number 16.
Number 2, Jarian Haynes, the ball carrier.
Kane Smith there. Kane Smith, I mean, as this junior, is an insane athlete. I mean, he's just a freak of nature in the weight room. I mean, he's a star lacrosse player. He's really coming into his own on this football team. Look out for him for the rest of the season and in the spring for lacrosse.
Had some big plays against Brentwood. Showing up and making his presence apparent here tonight. It's Christian Lewis. Sets up, steps back. Looks for a play to create itself, and the ball bops off of Hames' hands. And that'll bring up 4th down and long.
Yeah, I mean,
and with it, the punt core for Calhoun.
And that screen was perfectly set up. They had a lot of blockers in front. Not too many McCallie guys had read that, right? So, I mean, they had a whole,
golden opportunity for first down, sure.
But now, I mean, just off of a missed catch, and all of a sudden, you've got a punt on 4th and 12. 3:37 left to go.
So, Kenzie Paul back to return on the punt for the first time tonight. Ball snapped. Punt, deep, received by Paul. Didn't take a fair catch. Tackled just past the McCallie 20. Eric Rivers came off the field a little earlier on, appeared to be getting massaged or stretched. Some of the athletic trainers might have cramped up a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
after some of his plays last drive.
Yeah, great coverage there by Calhoun. They recognized that fair catch wasn't called. Swarmed all over Kenzie Paul as soon as he caught that ball. Let's see what the McCallie offense does come up with. Eric Rivers is not on the field right now. So
no, he isn't. He's on the sidelines. His helmet's off. But he's walking around. I imagine we'll be seeing him in the game again shortly. As William Riddle steps onto the field again. Certainly proving himself a viable choice for starter as he connects with Kenzie Paul. Paul refusing to go down.
Yeah, Kenzie
See
Paul
what the ball is spotted.
Kenzie Paul with some great hands there. That pass was a little bit low, held on, and tried to fight for some yards there. Ended up getting gobbled up. But that's going to be a first down as the Chains do get to move. Great play there. Good read by William Riddle. And, I mean, Riddle seems really starting to come into his own in this game. You see him making all the right reads, and he's just delivering on all of his passes. So let's see if Breedlove does see any more minutes in this game.
He's played a pretty clean game from a passing perspective as B.J. Harris takes this run up the middle.
Flag on the field.
5-yard gain. Oh, no.
That's going to be a holding there on McCallie.
The mistakes continue to compound for the Big Blue here at Finley Stadium. I swear, for every good play that McCallie makes, there are 3 errors like this that have just absolutely destroyed the Big Blue tonight.
Yeah, it looks like number 67 there. Big Evan Smith there was on the wrong side of that. Eric Rivers does check back in now. Let's see if McCallie immediately goes back to utilizing him or rest him for a couple of plays while he's still on the field.
We'll see what happens. 1st and 20 now for the Big Blue. B.J. Harris, a short run, brought back, and then some. Rivers put in motion. He's back on the field. Riddle steps back, looks downfield. Does he find Kenzie Paul? It's over his head again. Riddle having some trouble connecting with Paul. His last couple of attempts towards him, with the exception of that pass that got McCallie their first down of the drive, sailed high and away.
Yeah, it was interesting. It seemed like Riddle had it, made the right read, just overthrew it just a little bit. So, I mean, it's going to be 2nd down and long coming up, 2nd down and 24. Be interested to see if they will hand this one off just to get some easy yards. But you can see Calhoun pressed up right now as B.J. Harris goes out in motion. Riddle rolls to his left.
See who connects with Osa, making an athletic play, turning around and securing the ball.
Jose Osa has some of the safest hands I've ever seen. Any ball that you put in his area that he knows is coming to him, he will grab it and just secure that catch.
The Bear with a vice-like grip anytime the ball flies his way. 3rd and 11 for the Big Blue. Can they convert here? They've had a hard time on 3rd down tonight. Obviously, we've seen them go out and attempt converting on 4th down numerous times in the contest. Kenzie Paul put in motion. Fake the jet sweep. Do they connect with Rivers? No. The ball falls incomplete on a short pass by Riddle.
Yeah,
Riddle not having the best night in terms of accuracy.
Yeah, Riddle hit hard there. That blitz came in super fast through the middle. Riddle just got it off before he got hit. It took a hard hit as well after he delivered that ball and causing the underthrow there. So let's see what Conklin does on this punt as it's snapped pretty quickly. It's going to be a low punt.
This is going to spin. Takes a big jump. It's picked up and taken out.
Oh.
But the returner brought down at the 30-yard line. McCallie defense step out onto the field again to face down the Calhoun offense, who was shut down on their first drive of the 3rd quarter.
That was a great tackle there. Yeah, that's Brody Boyd. Great tackle there. Got a hold of his ankle because, he had some room there to take off, but nothing going there. Great snuff out there by number 32, Brody Boyd.
Boyd, too, a new junior on this McCallie roster. First time we're saying his name tonight. This Christian Lewis and the Calhoun offense step back onto the gridiron.
Yeah, the Calhoun offense had so much success going through the air, but nothing going so far. I mean, Christian Lewis with 202 yards in that first half. 98 yards is his longest pass. That ball is handed off. And that was play action.
Lewis looks downfield, connects with Spear, and he's got nothing but open field, folks. Spear, uncontested en route to the end zone. Another touchdown for him.
And something you don't want to see is Eric Rivers has gone down. He went down immediately after that play. Something's not right with him. Did you see the social media that-
a career performance for Spear, and a phenom for McCallie on the ground in agony right now.
Yeah, and one thing you can't really talk about, one thing you can't really happen is, injuries for this McCallie team. You talk about, like, star players. James Howard's already gone down. Eric Rivers gone down, in pain. Looks to be some sort of muscle injury. So, we pray for him.
As I mentioned, he seemed to be cramping up. He was brought onto the sidelines. He appeared to get either massaged or stretched out, and that appears to be the case once again.
Yeah.
Seemed to be extending his leg. I think he's just having cramp problems here because he appeared to misstep. He was in coverage on Spear. Just lost the step on him, and Spear pulled away after making the reception.
Yeah, I mean, it's never good to see anybody go down, especially a player like Eric Rivers, who's been playing so much on both sides of the ball right now.
Well, he's certainly the lifeblood of the McCallie offense. He is the X factor. You'll see him at every position on the football field,
Eric
especially
Rivers.
on O. But for now, appears to be out of commission. So McCallie gives up another huge reception, resulting in a touchdown, returning the lead to the Calhoun Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, I mean, you see him getting stretched out. It's nothing good right now. And
going to take a brief break here as we wait for Rivers to come off the field. The score with 2 minutes, 3 seconds remaining in the third quarter. McCallie 19, Calhoun 20. Welcome back to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where Eric Rivers is up and walking off the field after what seemed to be a muscle cramp. McCallie giving up another huge touchdown reception to Cole Spear.
yeah, Eric Rivers walking off under his own power, which is always a good thing to see. I don't think we'll see him in for the rest of the game after.
Oh, we'll see. We don't want to make assumptions.
Very true.
We'll see what happens for now. The Calhoun offense seeking to go for two here. Run out of the Wildcat. They reverse it. Nothing but open field. Do they convert? Reach in, yes. 2 points. And the lead is extended to 3.
Yeah, and that is a huge 2-point conversion right there.
A big effort play, too. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, you can, and now McCallie can't win or put themselves in the lead with just a field goal. So a great call there by the Calhoun head coach, which is Clay Stevenson. Great call there. Gutsy call, but ended up working out for him. So now, well, how does the McCallie offense respond, especially with the lack of Eric Rivers?
It's going to be interesting to see. Again, I wouldn't count him being out. He got up. He walked off on his own weight. My best guess right now, he was getting massaged earlier. Likelihood is that this is just some muscle cramps. He's suffering from some sort of persistent, irritating affliction, I'll say. It's definitely impeding his performance. He got burnt there on the touchdown for Spear, but I won't be surprised if we see him back. As for how the McCallie offense is going to work, I want to expect to see more out of B.J. Harris, more runs. And I'd say it's in McCallie's best interest to do that. Continue trying to bait the Calhoun secondary into playing up on the line of scrimmage and anticipating the run from Harris.
Yeah,
There's no reason to really anticipate the deep threat if really the most formidable deep threat on your opposition is currently out of commission.
Yeah, I mean, John Cole McAdams seems like the most likely replacement to put in at wideout. So let's see. I mean, McAdams has had 2 drop passes today. So
He's looking for some redemption.
Exactly.
Kickoff from Calhoun. Sails towards Kenzie Paul, who bobbles the kick. Manages to recover. Takes the ball out. Stays on his feet again. Trying to avoid tackles. He stays on his feet. He's got open field. He's got the kicker in front of him, though. They close on him. Can't say that that's what I anticipated the play to turn into, but my goodness.
Great play there by Kenzie Paul. Got the McCallie parents riled up. bounced right off a tackle. Didn't even realize he was up. Cut it back outside, and it's a great return there. Now up to the 44 for McCallie. Let's see if they can gain some momentum off of that return right there off of Kenzie Paul.
I mean, it's almost like a Wile E. Coyote reaction, seeing him stand, acknowledge that he's not tackled, and then gradually realize, wait a second, I got open field to my right. Let me break for the sideline.
And also a personal foul there on Calhoun will bring it 15 yards more forward. Apologies about that. That was a tongue twister.
Huge lapse in judgment from Calhoun, putting McCallie in Calhoun territory. And as you mentioned, John Cole McAdams, the junior, coming out to replace Eric Rivers, who's still on the sideline. Seems to be stretching out. He's on his feet as that rush to B.J. Harris goes nowhere. Calhoun anticipating the run there and swarming on the senior Mizzou commit.
Yeah, these run defenses for both sides have been really good tonight. Other than a couple of big plays that both teams have had, I mean, McCallie has had the better of the big plays so far as Aaron Crowder checks in for Emil Belrose. And, I mean, I just think if you can establish a passing game, which McCallie seems to have done, you can establish some sort of a run game, but hasn't come to fruition so far.
We'll see. An interesting lineup right now. Nick Robinson playing in the slot as the O-line struggles to get set. Ball snap, bobbled briefly. Reverse to Nick Robinson, who's got open field. It's got to be one rusher. Breaks inside, stays on his feet. Looks like he got inside of the 20-yard line. McCallie now in the red zone.
Great play there. That seemed to be going for a loss, but that little toss-off there by Riddle. Like Riddle was about to be taken down after bobbling that snap. Flipped it right out there to Nick Robinson. Nick Robinson with his speed takes it outside and brings McCallie right inside the red zone.
When your biggest talent goes down, your play calling needs to get innovative, and McCallie certainly opening their bag of tricks here with 40 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Robinson in motion again. Handed off to B.J. Harris. B.J. breaking to the outside. If he can get past the tackle, he might have been able to get in, but instead he's pushed out of bounds short of the first down. Be second down and short.
Great play there by the defense there. That'll be number 5, Cole Spear. Cole Spear really been basically, Calhoun's main threat on both sides of the ball. I mean, great read there on B.J. Harris. B.J. Harris, great run, great job bouncing it to the outside. But Cole Spear, I think, with an even better open field play, pushing, and that's going to be
forcing offsides. Yeah, the freeze call catches Calhoun off guard. Yeah. You're mentioning Cole Spear, certainly the MVP for Calhoun on offense. Has had the loudest night on defense, but certainly making the play right there, preventing B.J. Harris from perhaps getting into the end zone.
Yeah, but again, you want to talk about lapse of judgment. That offside right there had McCallie in a second down, but all of a sudden McCallie's got a first down inside the 10-yard line. Let's see if they can convert now with, I assume, a run to B.J. Harris, which, has been their main scoring weapon so far this season.
First and goal. The ball's fumbled. Was it picked up by Calhoun?
Looks to be picked up by Riddle. Riddle jumped on that immediately. Couple of that, he had that happen to him last week again, kind of trying to rush the gun on the handoff. Luckily, by Riddle. No loss in the play, so it's going to be second down from the 8-yard line coming up.
A heads-up play by Riddle prevents a catastrophe in the Calhoun red zone. As the Blue Tornado recollect themselves. Second and goal now, McCallie on the 9.
And
it's a timeout.
Timeout Calhoun there. So Calhoun take their first timeout of the half. Oh, no, actually that's going to be the end of the quarter, so start of the fourth quarter now.
Shows you how much we're paying attention to the clock. Just entirely slipped my mind that time was about to expire. So, after 3 quarters as we enter the last quarter in regulation, Calhoun holds a slim 3-point lead over the Big Blue. Your score going into the fourth, Calhoun 22, McCallie 19. It all comes down to this, ladies and gentlemen, with 12 minutes remaining in regulation. McCallie knocking on the door of the end zone. Down 3 points to the Calhoun Yellow Jackets. Riddle at quarterback. Steps back looking for a receiver. Finds number 87, Bell Rose. Taking another step towards the end zone. They continue to forge on. 2nd down and 9. That'll bring up 3rd down and short.
Yeah, I mean, Bell Rose there with a great grab. That out route has really been there for McCallie all night, getting them a solid 5 to 7 yards every single time. And Riddle's been completing that pass. I mean, most of his passes have been on the money other than a couple of times which he's overthrown it. But other than that, Riddle's been having a great game.
Robinson in motion. Handoff to Harris. Harris steps into the end zone. Rather, he jumps in for another 6 points for the Big Blue as they reassume the lead with 11-17 in the quarter. The second play of the fourth bears fruit for the Blue Tornado. 25-22, your score.
Calhoun bid on that sweep to Nick Robinson, leaving B.J. Harris a wide open hole to walk into that end zone, more strut into the end zone, which is much more of his classic.
Entering with style for sure.
So B.J. Harris, here's Breelove to hold for this extra point attempt. Bobbled the snap.
Botched once again.
And again, the special teams, specifically the point after tries, have just not been going well for McCallie for some reason. I think that's going to be a lot of work that Coach Potter is going to put in, and maybe a few sprints.
Perhaps. I mean, we'll see how scout team, special teams goes next week, but certainly a questionable performance out of them last week against Brentwood, and certainly a not quite a bang-up job. They certainly performing under expectations.
But now it's a 3-point lead, which means a field goal does tie it up. So that extra point missed is really costly.
No, it is. I mean, you attempted the 2-point conversion to give yourself a 7-point advantage over Calhoun. You failed that. Okay, you still got 5 points on them. They run back upfield. They score 8. They convert on 2. All right. You score again, you got a 4-point advantage. To not get that point right then and force them to score a touchdown to take a lead or to tie the game, or excuse me, to take the lead, I should say, it's incredibly costly for the Big Blue right now. You're leaving free points on the field.
That's been
They're 4 right now. The score of this game could be 29-22 right now.
I mean,
this ball sails into the end zone for a touchback.
Yeah, and I mean, 3 points really has been cost. I mean, of course, you missed the first one. You got to go for 2. You missed for 2. That's 3 points gone right there. Now it's been, again, 4 points gone. So it's just been lack of concentration, lack of discipline, which, I mean, Coach Potter really tries to instill in this team. But, it's got to go back to the drawing board with this. I mean, of course, last year you had Thompson Bird and Andrew Prescott, that little senior duo. And, I mean, one play I remember specifically last year is actually the Brentwood game, where the botch snap and Thompson Bird just danced into the end zone for 2 points.
Oh, sure, and that's just something that's been lost with this McCallie football team as Hames takes a rush. The ball pops out. Was it picked up by McCallie? It was Pilon throwing bodies around. McCallie takes possession once again. 11:07 in the fourth, and McCallie is back in the red zone.
Again, Thomas Pilon, we've been saying his name all night. Picks up that ball. I wasn't able to see what happened there, but I just saw he threw off a man. Ragdoll, get off of me.
Pilon, ruthless.
Mama, there goes that man. Thomas Pilon said his name again. So now McCallie inside the red zone, and all of a sudden can capitalize on this mistake. And, I mean, Thomas Pilon looks like a real force on that defensive line. I mean, we thought we'd be missing James Howard a lot more. Thomas Pilon has more than stepped up in his absence, so it's going to be really interesting to see.
He's been a presence tonight. Now McCallie can finally extend their lead. Force Calhoun into a precarious situation. B.J. Harris, he's in the end zone once again. Touchdown, Big Blue.
Again.
Just like that. And B.J. Harris, 2 more touchdowns in the fourth.
That blocking just perfectly set up there. I was mentioning Eric Rivers did come back out. It didn't matter. B.J. Harris right there waltzed into the end zone. Great blocking by the receivers. And all of a sudden, now you have a 9-point lead. So, I mean,
you got those points back. B.J. Harris with 2 touchdowns in 1 minute of play.
Yeah, we are only a minute into the fourth quarter. It seemed like the third quarter gone in that minute of time as the kick is up and good for Conklin.
High time, too. McCallie special teams finally picking up the weight, and in the nick of time, too, as McCallie takes a 10-point advantage over the Calhoun Yellow Jackets. Oh, how the tides turn.
Yeah, I think the tides really started to turn towards the end of that second quarter. You saw McCallie starting to pick up steam on offense, carried that into the third quarter, and now all of a sudden you've seen a minute to the fourth quarter, back-to-back touchdowns, great stop. I think Thomas Pallone has had a really great game, bursting through the offensive line. They're picking up that fumble, throwing that one guy off, and B.J. Harris just doing what B.J. Harris does. Find the gap and hit that gap.
I mean, he has been the story on the defensive line, the junior.
B.J. Harris was the man to be and was going to be the guy who carried a lot of this McCallie offense, and he has taken full responsibility of that this game.
3 rushing touchdowns tonight for the Mizzou commit. As Jack Conklin prepares to return the ball to Calhoun, who've been victims of the turnover bug. McCallie with their first forced fumble of the year. Ultimately results in 7 points. Yeah, finally giving McCallie a substantial lead over the Yellow Jackets after struggling through the first 3 quarters of play.
Yeah, that's just McCallie really starting to come into their own, and you find them starting to find a rhythm. And I think, especially when you have that one designated quarterback in William Riddle and not switching out the quarterbacks, the offense can find his tempo and figure out what he's good at, which is standing in the pocket and delivering a perfect ball.
For sure. Again, the textbook pocket passer. And I imagine at this point, Calhoun got to be worried about B.J. Harris after a couple of big plays. The first snap called false start on Calhoun as the mistakes continue to mount for the Yellow Jackets.
I mean, you just talk about an offensive line that's dominant, which we were kind of looking towards in the series. Like, you have Austin and Jack Gentle who would be leading the way, but Ridley McDonald, new senior at center, has really kind of plugged that gap of Trey Phillips last year. And Evan Smith and EJ Smith also both been playing really well. So it's interesting to see them.
Christian Lewis looks to his right and connects. Looks like Spear. No, instead it's number 31 for the Yellow Jackets. That's Dustin Kearns. Reception on the out route. I'll bring up 2nd and 8.
Yep, tackled there by John Cole McAdams, forcing him out of bounds.
John Cole had a hard night playing at receiver, but he's been putting up a solid performance, getting on target and ensuring that the tackle was made and the play was ceased. As Christian Lewis bobbles a snap, gets the pass off. This is high and arcing, flies over the head of Kearns once again.
Yeah. Calhoun not happy about that. Wanted the pass interference call there on John Cole McAdams. It seemed to have McAdams beat by just a step. So it brings down third down and eight for the the Calhoun Yellow Jackets. And I mean, let's see, it's interesting because Calhoun hasn't really been able to pick up any offense so far other than that one touchdown. So let's see if Calhoun can really get anything going.
For sure, we'll see if they can't manage to revive themselves. Obviously not down by their largest margin of the night. 10 points.
See, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the largest point margin of the game.
Oh, for either team, sure. It's intercepted once again. Another one for John David Tessman. 2 picks on the night for the senior in 17.
Great play there again by the defensive line. Jay Williams there getting onto the quarterback, applying that pressure. And again, John David Tessman reading the quarterback's eyes, adjusted, made that grab. Another interception. That's the 4th for the McCallie Blue Tornadoes. And that's been really the story of the game. McCallie's really starting to convert on these turnovers that they've been given. So, I mean, I think McCallie has a lot that they've improved on since the Brentwood game, and it's forcing turnovers and getting to the quarterback, especially with the loss of James Howard.
They are. You know, I will say that it seems as though the offense has certainly taken some hits. They aren't quite as efficient as they were in the Brentwood matchup, but they're finally seeming to establish a sort of rhythm. Again, my main concern with the Big Blue is just their defensive secondary. The linebacker play is exceptional as Eric Rivers steps into the end zone once again. Touchdown, Big Blue. Another 6 points on the board.
My goodness, Eric Rivers, nice little route there. Cut inside for 5 yards. Safety bit right on that go. Corner couldn't catch him. Easy play for a McCallie touchdown. Eric Rivers seems to be fine, starting to walk it off just a little bit. Great to see him back out there and doing what he does.
Like I said, you shouldn't count him being out. We aren't even in a minute and a half into the fourth quarter. McCallie has scored 3 touchdowns, 2 from Harris, 1 from the X Factor, and now McCallie's pulling away.
Oh, that was so satisfying to watch from up in the booth. I saw the safety come bite down, and Rivers just cut up right up the field, and
he showed his speed.
No good again. Conklin not having the best of nights so far. Going to go back to the drawing board. He definitely during Monday practice and just start practicing those PATs. So your score right now, 38 for the McCallie Blue Tornadoes, 22 for the Calhoun Yellow Jackets, 10:36 still left to go in this fourth quarter.
There's plenty of time, but McCallie definitely starting to show their dominance as we come down the home stretch.
William Riddle really starting to come into his own. I talked about it on the previous drive, but you could just see, stood in that pocket, had a few seconds of time, and just delivered a nice floated ball. And, I mean, Riddle's balls couldn't be any more perfect tonight. Most of them have just been right into the chest of their players. Just an easy grab, and Eric Rivers just waltzed into the end zone.
He was suffering from a couple of accuracy problems headed towards the middle of the third quarter, but he seems to have resolved those. And he's certainly been locked in here in the fourth quarter, although a lot of the heavy lifting has been done by B.J. Harris. After a quiet start, has been having an excellent game running for the Big Blue. Things have really opened up for McCallie coming down the home stretch of this matchup. That's Hames on the return. A solid one for Calhoun. As he gets up towards the 40-yard line.
Yeah, and that's the danger right there of those return men for Calhoun. Conklin's kick went right onto the 1, fielded at the 1, but knocked all the way down to the 42-yard line of McCallie. That's a 41-yard return there, Hames, and just kind of just took off there.
A big return for one of the big playmakers for Calhoun throughout this entire game. That's one thing I will give to them. Their return men have been potent tonight. Obviously, Spear returning a punt that was ultimately called back after an illegal block in the back.
Yeah, right now on the defensive line for McCallie, you have Matthew Plunkett, Jay Williams, and Thomas Pallone. All 3 new guys on this varsity team. Potter yelling instructions to his players.
Short snap. Christian Lewis barrels forward. It's met by fierce opposition at the line of scrimmage. See where the ball is spotted. Imagine right at the line of scrimmage. Rush goes for no gain.
That play just seemed to not work out for both sides. Coach Potter yelling instruction at McCallie while the quarterback Lewis stepped up to try and deliver some instruction. Instead had the ball snapped to him. So I think it was just a miscommunication on all parts right there.
Could have been more fatal. 3 pass rushes in the backfield on another screen pass to Hames. Hames stays on his feet, gets the first down.
Yeah, great screenplay there. I mean, well designed. You thought it was going to be a sack. Well designed.
Well, plus, you need a ton of composure to be a quarterback on those designed screens. When you face that pressure and try to loft that ball to your receiver underneath.
Yeah, but he did that. Lewis got that right there to Cameron Hames, to Jerry and Hames, I apologize. So that was a great little screenplay there and got the first down. Let's see if Calhoun can finally do something inside McCallie territory.
9:48 left in regulation. This ball is handed off to Hames. Hames taken down after a gain of what appears to be 3.
Hames having a bit of a slow night after that first quarter. Had a couple of big rushes in that first quarter, but nothing really going for him throughout the rest of the game.
Well, again, I'll say this about all the players on both sides of the team who've made plays tonight. They've never been entirely silent. Hames obviously with that return on kickoff that put them in real desirable field position to start out this offensive drive. As Christian Lewis tries to get the ball to him. Threw it behind Hames, and the ball falls incomplete. 3rd down and long. You got to think that desperation is setting in.
My goodness, though, Thomas Pallon. Again, we've said him all night, but shot through that gap and just took out Lewis. Mama, there goes that man.
Big standout player for the Big Blue tonight. Certainly your defensive MVP. Well, I don't know if I could say that with John David Tessman putting up the performance he has tonight. 2 interceptions.
And Ralph Potter furious on the sideline right there as Plunkett comes up with the sack. But Ralph Potter is furious, throwing his headset on the sideline. Super frustrated at his secondary right now. And, I mean, ended up getting the sack, but Potter is just
they appear to be moving slowly
on the sideline.
Yeah, I imagine they just didn't get into formation. He appeared to be barking at Nick Robinson and John Cole McAdams. I think that they were out of position. It looked like Nick Robinson was on the outside where John Cole is typically lined up. Obviously the Big Blue not wanting to give up anything as we come down the home stretch. The secondary struggling to get into position as this ball is lofted deep, nearly picked off by Kenzie Paul. Sails over the head of both Paul and the receiver.
That's going to be a turnover on downs there for Calhoun. And, I mean, McCallie's secondary not lined up incredibly well there, and Ralph Potter is having words with the secondary right now.
They may have the 2-possession lead, but you can't have indiscipline. And based on what I heard coming out of practices, it was less than satisfactory week for the Big Blue, and I think that discipline has been sort of an ongoing issue, and we've certainly seen that today in some of the lapses that they've had. So there is some justification to Potter's frustration as we come down the home stretch of this game here. William Riddle and the McCallie offense step onto the field, hoping to put the final nail in the coffin here at Finley Stadium as B.J. Harris is engulfed in a sea of gold as the Yellow Jackets swarm on him.
Number 11.
It's Jake Prather. McIntyre also in there, making the play on Harris, bringing up 2nd and 10 for the Big Blue, who are certainly just trying to burn down time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a game. It's just going to be trying to run out this clock. They're in no rush to score again. I think just keeping possession of the ball is going to be the number 1 point for McCallie right now. I think you're just going to see a lot of touches to B.J. Harris and nothing too risky. You're probably not going to see him air it out as B.J. Harris.
That's what it comes down to as B.J. Harris barrels forward for another large gain. This will likely bring up 3rd and 1. See where the ball is spotted. Instead, is it spotted 1st down? No, instead, 3rd down and short. 3rd and inches for the Big Blue. As they seek to retain possession and continue burning clock late in this contest against Calhoun. Harris with the run, met at the O-line. Did he extend enough to get the 1st down? See where the ball spotted. It's called 1st down. McCallie will continue to possess.
B.J. Harris bouncing off of his own tight end there, Belrose, but ended up moving the chains there. So 1st down. 1st down coming up for McCallie now. And, I mean, you got 6:47 left, 16-point lead. All you got to do is just try and run down this clock. Some runs right up the middle of the field, not do anything too dumb.
For sure. It's like you mentioned, it's a game of possession from here on in. 6:30 left here in the 4th quarter as William Riddle hands the ball off to B.J. Harris once again, stumbling for a 5-yard gain.
Yeah, B.J. there really finding that gap. I mean, the offensive line set it up super well, held for half a second, cut back inside, and I mean, that's just what you want to see out of your running back, just that patience and that vision. And that's what Missouri is really getting, is a super patient and has a really good visionary running back.
Oh, the ball is mishandled by Riddle on the snap as he hits the field. Trying to retain possession. That'll bring up 3rd down and long for the Big Blue.
And you've just seen a lot of these mistakes tonight. Just little mistakes, missed PATs, mishandling, botched snaps, offsides, just the little things have really, hasn't cost McCallie the game, but in the future, especially looking forward next week to Knox Catholic, you have to be wary about these types of penalties.
No, and I imagine that's really what's going to be emphasized this week during practice, because despite the fact that McCallie has the advantage, they certainly came out running on all cylinders at the start of the 4th. They've still been playing a sloppy game. And their lead definitely masks a lot of lapses in judgment by this McCallie team tonight, as they step off the field after another sack allowed on Riddle.
Yeah,
Calhoun calling their first timeout with 5:04 remaining in the game.
This game is not out of reach for Calhoun, so it is 2 extra points, 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points away from a tie game. So you cannot put Calhoun out of this right now. I mean, if Calhoun can get back to their passing offense of what they had early in the first half, it will be dangerous for McCallie, especially how they've not been playing well and the secondary hasn't been lined up correctly. If Calhoun can find some sort of rhythm, it could be an issue for this McCallie defense.
For sure. It'll be interesting to see. So I imagine Calhoun will begin showing a 2-minute drill style offense as the punt team comes out for Calhoun.
Be interesting to see if Conklin wants to just place this in the end zone and not give any chance for a return, because we've seen how dangerous these return men truly are.
No doubt, but I imagine that McCallie would just want to pin Calhoun deep. They got 5 minutes to get upfield. This ball is picked up by number 5. That looks like Spear from up here. On the field, grabbing his legs. He now appears to be cramping up a bit. See, hobbles off the field. Appears as though his right leg is contracting.
Yeah, and especially that's what you're going to have, especially late in these games, as Brody Boy, number 32 there, was the first man there to make that stop. And, now that's 2 kind of of star players for both McCallie and Calhoun, both going down with cramps. So it's going to be interesting to see how the conditioning comes into play, because it's a conditioning issue and also a rehydration issue coming out of the half.
For sure, I imagine they'll be getting some passes to Massage Envy and some pickle juice after this game ends, as McCallie sacks Christian Lewis in the backfield to start out this offensive drive for Calhoun. And time begins ticking away. 4:40 left in the game.
Seems to be number 19 sacked. Yeah, number 19, Matthew Plunkett there on the junior. He's going to be a key factor on this McCallie defense and trying to stifle out any offense comes his way. It's that out route.
Made some plays against Brentwood, Plunkett, as Spear stays on his feet. I imagine that wasn't Spear who hobbled off onto the Calhoun sideline, but flags coming out. We'll see what the call is out in the defensive backfield. Imagine a big lapse. Potter appearing frustrated by something in the backfield. I won't be surprised if Calhoun is gifted a penalty here. We'll get the call.
And it's going to be back.
Instead, didn't quite get the call there. There appears to be some discrepancy among
McCallie seems to have declined the penalty.
Yes. Now McCallie just desiring to put Yellow Jackets in a second down situation, force them to try eking their way out. 3rd down and long instead, yes. McCallie really trying to just end this game now. Get the Yellow Jackets off the field. Wrap this contest up. Lewis airs one out. Is this intercepted again? No, and nearly fell into the hands of number 16. That was Cameron Dodd downfield. Looked like Kenzie Paul went up trying to seal the game for the Big Blue with an interception.
Yeah, Kenzie Paul seemed to get a few fingers on that, kind of slow it down a little bit, but that's always dangerous if you misjudge that ball. We saw that specifically last year against Baylor when Michael May misjudged that one ball and Baylor waltzed in for end zone. So it's always difficult for these safeties to try and judge those long balls, because if you misjudge it and the receiver catches it, it's on you. But if you make a great play, you've made a great play.
No, for sure, and that definitely would have ended up as a touchdown had that ball fallen into Dodd's hands. It's this punt short. I didn't even see it drop.
That's going to be marked down at the
whereabouts.
32
Oh,
line.
my goodness.
That was a 17-yard punt there.
Not since the first quarter have we seen a lapse on punt like that out of Calhoun. It couldn't have come at a more inopportune time. 3 minutes, 58 seconds remaining in the contest.
Yeah,
McCallie up 16.
Yeah, at this point, it's just now McCallie, again, chew clock, burn clock, whatever you want to call it. Just get off the field, go cool down, get on the bus, get some food. I think McCallie is in protective mode. Nothing too fancy here. I assume a run up the middle to B.J. Harris.
I'll concur. Rather, it's a run to the outside, but B.J. runs downfield, appears to have a first down on that play.
That's a great block there outside by Emil Belrose.
Belrose definitely showing off some of his blocking talent. Him obviously replacing Jay Hardy at tight end. Big shoes to fill for him. Playing in the shadow of the Auburn commit.
I mean, of course, one of the biggest questions coming into the season was how would you replace those Hardy cousins, Jay and D'Lo? Just, I mean, two of these stalwarts of this McCallie team for the past 2 years. I mean, so far, especially in this game, they've looked promising.
Riddle passing. Interesting play from the Big Blue as that falls incomplete and stops the clock. An interesting play call.
Yeah,
I think it might have been a missed call. I think that there was a discrepancy between the sideline and William Riddle, because I don't understand why McCallie would want to pass.
It seemed
3
to be
minutes, 15 seconds remaining. It's interesting. Judging by the conference between Potter and Riddle, I think there was a mistake in the play call. That doesn't help matters either.
I think Potter was discussing about having an open man down the field. So, I mean, the holding brought it back anyway, so it's first and long coming up for McCallie.
First and 20 now for the Big Blue. In the waning moments of this contest, that's proved to be a thrilling one. McCallie really exploding here at the start of the fourth quarter. As William Riddle hands the ball off to B.J. Harris. Tries getting to the outside. He stays on his feet, but is tripped up at the Calhoun 21.
Great run there by B.J. Harris. Just great blocking. Got to the outside and fought for those extra yards. So now it's going to be 2nd and 13 coming up.
Time continuing to tick away here as the prospect of mounting any sort of comeback or putting up any sort of points for Calhoun becomes bleak. B.J. Harris had a quiet night against Brentwood. Certainly not the case tonight as he has exploded here in the fourth. B.J., another big run.
And, I mean, you talk about time management. This is time management at its finest right now. Just burning this clock down as Calhoun takes their second time out of the half, one remaining. Hanley, looking forward to next week at Knox Catholic. What do you see McCallie needs to improve on the most?
Again, I feel like the biggest thing that's going to be emphasized for this McCallie team this week is discipline. It's as I mentioned, we've had a ton of points straight left on the field in this matchup. And as both a spectator and I imagine if I was a member of the coaching staff, I'd be discouraged after this particular game. For all the times that McCallie has had opportunities to score, they've capitalized on very few of them, and they've looked sloppy. Sure, they have a lead. Sure, they saw a lot of offensive production in the first 2 minutes of this quarter. But up until that point, this seemed to be a very tightly contested contest between these two teams. So I'd imagine that discipline is going to be a huge point of emphasis going into this game against the Knox Catholic team that is seeing its second season in the TSSAA Division II.
Could not have said
So
any
William
better
Riddle
myself.
motions Eric Rivers, fakes the jet sweep to him and keeps it himself. Riddle bounding forward for the first down as the game goes further out of reach. 2:06 on the clock. There's a timeout called by Calhoun. No, time continues to slip away here.
We go inside 2 minutes left on this game, and I mean, looking forward to next week against Knox Catholic. I mean, Knox Catholic are still another powerhouse of TSSAA. I mean, it's going to be a test, and I mean, I think McCallie needs to keep that discipline throughout the game as the victory formation, as we like to say, is coming out.
Always love seeing that. Victory assured as McCallie will kneel this one out in Calhoun's red zone. 38-22 is going to be your final score here from Finley Stadium in Chattanooga after a sloppy game results in a McCallie victory.
I mean, yeah, it was a very sloppy game. McCallie, the turnovers on defense, I think, were the key point, which is a great sign to see for this McCallie team. So, I mean, there's a lot to improve on, but there are a lot of good taking points away as well at the same time.
Absolutely, and I think it comes down to general discipline as well as improvement in the McCallie secondary, and that's really going to be the key to their success moving onward, because after this game, I think I can say definitively that your new starting quarterback for the Big Blue will likely be William Riddle, as he has put up another fantastic performance for the Big Blue. No turnovers for McCallie tonight. William Riddle remaining interceptionless on the season.
Exactly.
Tossing for another couple of touchdowns as he continues to cement himself as an excellent quarterback for this McCallie team that is really evolving into a pocket-based offense. So with that, the McCallie offense will retreat back to their sidelines, and the McCallie faithful will rejoice as time ticks away here at Finley Stadium.
Your final score tonight, your McCallie Blue Tornadoes, 38. Calhoun Yellow Jackets, 22. Next week, your McCallie Blue Tornadoes go to Knoxville to face Knox Catholic in a big TSSAA matchup. Stay tuned. We will send out information on the live stream provided by Knox Catholic.
Absolutely. It wasn't the prettiest game, but it's a win, folks. McCallie improves to 2-1 on the season. They're redeemed from last week, but what will they do against Knox Catholic? That remains to be seen. Until then, I'm William Hanley.
I'm Karan Hoare, and good night.